I see those big, bright, shiny red trucks just a-trucking down the road. Those big, bright, shiny red trucks just a-looking for another load. Well, it's a family tradition, any Rocky Mountain day. Our fathers before us showed us the way. We work for asphalt cowboys and concrete kings, but that's never been a problem, cause we got diesel in our veins. We've got diesel in our veins. I see those big bright...
What's up, JFW family? Welcome back to the Channel 23 podcast. The purpose of this podcast is to reach out and touch the fleet, to engage and inform everyone with all things JFW. Per Super Dave, we are about to have the best podcast ever.
That's Agreed. Right. Buckle up, guys, boys and girls.
I was going to say buckle up.
Yep, as you can hear, we got Jim, Dave, and Super Dave in the studio, and we're about to rock out the pledge. If anybody wants to join us, now's the time. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Man, there was some unity in that, wasn't there?
There was some conviction
in
that.
Right, yes.
That wasn't.
Feeling all warm and fuzzy.
Heartfelt.
Best pledge ever.
Best pledge ever.
So we have some, we're going to call them shout outs, but also injury updates. You said big shout out for Coleman. I mean, he's just in recovery, but we love him, so big shout out.
Yeah, we actually have an injured reserve here at JFW.
Oh my God, the list is growing. Listen, guys, you got to be
first stringers on the bench.
Got to be safe out there.
Yes.
Make good decisions, but live life too. If you get hurt, you get hurt. Anyway, did hear from Coleman yesterday. Man, Coleman is a little worse than everybody thought he was going to be.
Right.
He's broke the top of his humerus where all the tendons that he tore attached to. So before they could do any soft tissue work on him, his bone has to heal first. So he could be out for 6 months is one of the numbers he heard yesterday. That's not confirmed, but it could be as long as that. But you know, the thing about Coleman is he's like, hey, I feel like I'm letting you guys down. I love the JFW family. I still want to be part of the family. Is there anything I could do around JFW to be part of the team? And the answer is no. But we love you.
Right?
Maybe we can figure something else, but I think he's got to get
healed
up a little bit here, you know, because it's 6 weeks just for the bone part of it at least.
I mean, depending on how bad that fracture is, and who knows. But go ahead.
When just along that lines, when Holly broke her pelvis, you know, several years ago, the X-rays were so cool, Jim, and I remember that because they showed the cracks in the pelvis because it's a circle and the one crack, and then when we went back, the reason I'm picking 6 weeks is that crack was gone and it looked like cotton around it. It was all fuzzy around that crack.
Oh, wow.
And he said that's the calcium. The doctor said that's the calcium that's healed.
So interesting.
Yeah. It was just in that kind of picture. It was just really cool. It was like, oh, that makes sense. Body taking care of it.
Absolutely.
The human body is amazing.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah, because she complained about her wrist being hurting too the whole time, and there was so much, you know, concentration on her pelvis. They re-X-rayed her wrist, and she had broken her wrist too in the fall. So yeah,
that's crazy. But yeah, the broken pelvis could kill you.
Yeah.
You know, just from if you nick your femoral artery, that runs right down through there, and that's life or death. So,
Yep. Yeah, they were concerned about bone splinters originally, Jim. Yeah, when that happened. Yeah,
did you guys get an ambulance ride for that, or did you just take her in?
Well, it happened up north in, were we in Williston? I transported her in the car. The hospital gave her some drugs, and we put like an egg crate mat down in the back of the car, and I drove her because the ambulance was like 6 hours away to get her.
Wow.
To get her, and she was stable, right, and everything. But when we got to the hospital where they could really do the X-rays and treat her and stuff like that, we had to spend the night, and they watched the urine in and out and any kind of blood and stuff like that. It was
Her, and I know Holly's tough, just like most women are tougher than us.
way.
But
tougher.
was she in a lot of pain from that?
She could get comfortable, but moving was very painful. Yeah.
Typically, right away, they'll throw a pelvic binder on you. It's like this big belt that goes around your waist and just cinches everything tight to make you feel better.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, you could get, and they had that, and then you just, if you didn't move, you were good. But, and obviously there was an ache still there
Right.
from the fall. But,
Wow.
yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah, crazy. Yeah. People, all of us. So I wish Coleman the best getting healed and then looking at surgeries, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, definitely looking at some surgery. Alan, Chili Dog, he just had his second surgery. They put a plate behind his knee. He's got 4 screws holding that plate in. It's going to be 6 weeks until he can walk on his own. But once the bandage is off, they'll know a lot more as far as, when he might be able to return to work. But
Sure.
man, we're praying for you too, Chili Dog. If you guys don't know, kickball, it's a real dangerous sport. So careful out there playing kickball.
Oh, man.
Then I got a text from Rico Christensen this morning. He had a reversal surgery 2 weeks ago where they kind of put his bowels back together. He spent 4 days in the hospital and is now on the road to recovery. He is hoping to be back in September or October, Lord willing. He can't wait to see everybody and get back behind the wheel doing what he loves to do. He says, thanks for everyone for your continued prayers and support. Last year wasn't easy, but he firmly believes everyone has helped carry him through. So,
Yeah. Congratulations to
Rico.
Rico. Yeah, absolutely.
I had
I was just trying to process all that between the the surgery and Rico and the cancer and the bowels and
I had to edit his text message because he gets very descriptive whenever he talks about it. There's no shame in his game, and he's letting you know every little thing that's going on. And
Yes.
I just gave you my synopsis.
But what a journey he's been through. His whole cancer process has been, like a 6-step thing.
Right.
First he had to do this, and then he had to do the chemo, and, then he had to do radiation, then he had to do the bowel dissection or whatever you would call it. And I mean, boy, there was a lot of steps, but apparently he's cancer-free, so they know what they're doing.
And they're putting them back together.
Yeah, absolutely. He's on the reassembly stage now, which is awesome.
Yeah.
You know?
Always keeps a good attitude, too, which is great. So, all right, well, speaking to all the family members that are hurt and ill and healing and getting better, and if we don't know about you and you're going through something, this prayer is for you as well. Father God, we thank you for the opportunity to go out and do some trucking today. We pray for the safety of our fleet, all of their families, and all the other families and individuals we come across on the road today. We pray for patience and in making the good, safe decisions. We pray to be accident-free and that we all make it back to the comforts of our homes this evening. We pray for healing and 100% recovery for all of our family members that are ill. No matter what, we trust you, God, and it's in Jesus' name we pray.
Amen.
Amen.
As a reminder, anything you hear on today's podcast is not the opinion of JFW's. It's just a 4 men in this room's opinion mixed with some unchecked facts.
Well, I said, didn't I say last week, though, that's intelligent expressed opinions?
Yeah. Episode 139, 368 downloads. So that number is on the move. We are at 76.6 thousand total downloads, and we gained some followers. We're at 598 followers. I was looking through the stats. I just pulled up the top 10 episodes of all time. Eric Zerbriggen, EZ, from Flenham Pete is no longer number 1.
Oh, really?
Paco Nahara with the Trades from My Community episode, episode 84, has now taken over. Still under 1,000 listens, but it goes Paco, Eric, and then Jesse Rodenbach.
Good. Wow. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, that was number 1 previous, so it was in the top spot and then dropped down, and
it's the first time he's dropped down. He streamlined right to the top.
Maybe it was the other Paco podcast.
Yeah, he's been on a couple times.
Number 1 for a while, yeah.
Wasn't JR in there for a while, too?
On a number one? JR? Yeah. I mean, originally, but he didn't hold that title for long.
He didn't, yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy to think, I'm happy with our listens. When we talk about it, we have about 150 employees. This podcast is truly for them. So anything over that is great. Now, we know not everybody at JFW listens, so, there's other people listening, but our reach is okay for what the podcast is supposed to be. But what has happened to the other 500 or 600 downloads? And that shouldn't be in a week. Like Paco getting to 1,000, almost 1,000. That's episode 84. I mean, that's quite a while ago, probably about a year ago even, maybe not quite a year, but a while ago. But first week listens, we've hit 600 or 700. I'd like to see, who are those people and where did they go?
Sure. And maybe it's the new guys and you look for a title where to begin or something like that, and the title catches you, or you jump in and re-listen or something like that. I know I talked to Joe that was on from Pinnacle Monday there, and he asked how the podcast was going and different stuff like that. And he asked, have you had, he hasn't been listening, but he just asked about the podcast. And I said, hey, if you want to listen to one, jump in and listen to Todd's a few weeks ago. I said it was really good. He was hilarious. He started out with a real crusty joke and, all that kind of stuff. And Joe was like, oh, I'll have to listen. And so, maybe something like that, Jam, where somebody goes back. And I know Holly yesterday at work caught up. She was just doing, book work or stuff so she could listen to the podcast. And she said she got caught up, listened to Todd's and listened to the one last week. So, and enjoyed Jeff's. She said Jeff's was really good. Sweet. So yeah, maybe something like that. But I when you talk about it, I'm going to say it's double our population basically.
Right.
And that's amazing because we have more people, double that's working here listening to the podcast.
Sure.
And who is that?
Don't know. Don't know who they are. But funny you brought up J.R. Greninger because I don't know if you guys heard about the cop. He arrived at a truck crash that was hauling Worcestershire sauce. So he called it in and dispatch said, well, what's the situation? And he said, it's hard to say.
Oh, man. Well, I got to lead into that one because since you're talking about Worcestershire sauce, did you hear that the Seven Dwarfs started a restaurant, but they got some really bad reviews?
I did hear that.
Did you hear that?
Yeah, I can't remember why.
I've heard it too.
Most of the people said they were short-staffed.
Oh, yeah. That's good. I could tell that one to
Dad
Bella.
joke challenge.
Oh, yeah.
These jokes are becoming a challenge, too.
You got to get creative. We need Todd on here with his quote-unquote dad jokes.
Yeah, he just busted it loose.
Well, that is not a dad joke.
Dave's been telling one for a week or so about the Heimlich maneuver, and
that's my joke.
Well, let's hear it. Perfect timing.
Well, I didn't think you were going to tell it on the podcast.
It's certainly no worse than Todd's.
No, it's
Let's
not
go.
worse than Todd's.
So these two old cowboys are sitting at a bar or restaurant, and they sit down at a table, and they just got their burgers served, and they're chewing on some burgers and talking amongst themselves, and this lady at the table next to him starts choking and coughing and making a big scene, and pretty soon she stands up and she keeps coughing some more, and the one cowboy looks at the other and he says, hey, you suppose we ought to give her a hand? I think she's choking. The other cowboy ate a little bit of his hamburger and looked at the other one and says, well, let's give her a minute. Maybe she'll get it up. And the woman, she keeps choking, and by now her face is bright red, and she's leaned over the table and she's hacking and she's choking. It's not pretty. And the one cowboy says, well, I'll stand up and give her a hand. And he stands up, walks over to her, and puts his hands on her face and says, ma'am, are you choking? And she shakes her head up and down. And he says, ma'am, can you breathe? And she turns her head left to right, saying no. And right then he spins her around and leans her over the table and whips up her skirt, pulls down her pants and says, licks her butt. And she spits out this big old chunk of burger, and she's like, oh my gosh, thank you. You saved my life. And He sits down, and the other cowboy looks at him and says, "Ain't it funny how that hind lick just works every time?"
Oh, that's funny. The old hiney lick.
The old hind lick.
Hind lick.
Hind lick.
Well, sorry if I ruined that, Dave. I didn't know you were going there now.
It's my only joke. I've been practicing it.
Well,
Soup,
boy,
what
that's
do you
going to
got?
be a tough one to follow. Mine are much more bland than that. So
No hind lick for
Well,
you. Dave?
so is my short staff joke.
yeah. So I decided we're coming up to the hottest heat wave of the season, right? Supposed to have 4 days in the hundreds. I think Friday, Saturday, Sunday, at least 3 days. So anyway, what can cause dry skin after being in a swimming pool?
Chlorine.
It maybe can, but that's not right.
I thought of that, Jim, but I'm like, wait a minute, this is a joke.
Pee in the pool.
Right. A towel. Come on, you guys.
Wow, that is a dad joke.
Okay, and so these I gotta go too. These are. It's so hot. Okay, so
Oh,
when I
so do you
say
need the how hot is it?
yeah, how hot is it? Okay,
Does
so
it
it's so hot.
How hot is it?
Optimus Prime transformed into an air conditioner. It's so hot.
How hot is it?
The homeless are holding signs that say "We'll work for shade." It's so hot.
How hot is it?
Hot water comes out of both taps.
Dang it. That's pretty good.
Those are
Soup.
good ones, Dave.
And
I
that's
like it.
actually true. You know, here in Colorado, that cold water is freaking cold.
Yeah.
Have you noticed?
Yeah.
It's not that cold right now. It's
Yeah.
just kind of cool.
Yeah, I think I didn't fact check it, but Mikey's pretty accurate usually. But he said last week in Death Valley or the beginning of this week they set a record, all-time record,
Oh,
like
yeah?
129 degrees.
Wow.
In Death Valley.
It's okay. We don't fact check things, Jim. We just,
That's just
Screw it.
intelligent conversation or opinions.
So that lake they had back in March or whatever it was, April, from all the rain, that must be
Gone, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, they said I don't know about once in a lifetime, but there was so many pictures of it and how crazy it was and clear.
Yeah, people
Yeah.
rafting and boating and canoeing.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mother Nature.
well, we had some new employees start this week. We got
Awesome.
Miguel Vasquez, Warren Alfred, and Hector Manriquez. They all started on Monday. Welcome to the fleet.
Welcome aboard.
Yeah, welcome
Congratulations.
everybody.
Glad to have you.
Yeah, we got some good celebrations, anniversaries. Last week we missed Carl Jettinger, but he hit 1 year. And then Troy Holmes will hit 3 years this Saturday.
Congratulations,
Yeah,
you guys.
absolutely.
Happy
Awesome.
anniversaries.
Good anniversaries.
Yeah. Birthdays, we got Jonathan McKee. He had a birthday this past Monday, the 8th. And then family birthday celebrations. We did hear from Manny and Felipe last week, but Felipe's birthday and Emma Guthrie, actually their birthdays were Monday the 8th as well. And then Debbie Montano, Matt Montano's wife, had a birthday yesterday. So
Happy birthday,
there.
everybody.
Yeah, happy birthday. Yeah.
Now, we got a message from Megan Rendon. And, man, I looked on my birthday list. We got Megan. We got her son, Mason. But she also has a daughter, Mary, which wasn't on my list. But somehow she got a gift anyway. Tell the JFW family, thank you so much for the birthday card and gift card for Mary. She was like, your work cares about my birthday, ? That's so cool. Your last job never did anything like this. Of course he did. This is JFW. I appreciate you guys a lot through my medical situation to my children's birthday. So,
Hope you get better soon, Megan.
yeah.
Yeah.
What's
Man,
up?
the best podcast ever. I'm struggling here, you guys, because my joke was written on last week's podcast. So I gave my joke, and I'm sitting here, and you're reading, and I don't have any new employees. I mean, you're just going along, Jam, and I'm like, oh
Stop
my
going
God, where the
crazy.
hell is he at? And I just maybe if I do this, I will be. So it is the best podcast ever.
You're like, that joke wasn't on the first outline.
All these things seem familiar to me.
That's funny. A couple shout outs here. I'm going to let you take the first couple there, Brother Dave. These are yours.
Yeah, no, I got two shout outs. Jim brought them up, so I guess they're kind of a mutual shout out just because he saw him at a golf tournament. But Janice Haug from Haug Logistics and Transportation. She's a broker for long haul, short haul, LTL and like railroad containers, things like that. Kind of basically anything. I think she does reefer, stuff for like City Market, just items like that. I don't want to like say too much in case I'm wrong. And then Jeff Cummings, who owns Duffy Crane. And the first thing that comes out of Jeff's mouth after he says he owns Duffy Crane is, "We've been here since 1886. Jeff loves to say that. So they specialize in oversized moves. And, of course, when you hear Duffy Crane, cranes, of course, I think a lot of people don't know they specialize in heavy haul and oversized moves, but that's because of the cranes. That's how they got into that. But both of these people, more importantly, longtime members of the Colorado Motor Carriers Association, and even a better part of that is they're part of the legislative committee that fights for our rights as truckers when our legislators get in session and try and come up with some cockamamie laws, and they're just good people. Like I say, Jim ran into them at the golf tournament last week for the ATA, the American Trucking Association, and just good to see them and out, and they're just good representatives of what we do, meaning all of you guys. When you represent JFW out there on the road and yourself, you're representing quality companies like these. So anyway, shout out to Janice Haug and Jeff Cummings.
Exactly. And when I talked to Janice, she said she's listening to the podcast.
Oh, nice.
So, yeah.
Very cool.
We know
Yeah, that's
who one of those individuals
Right,
is, right?
right.
There you go.
Absolutely. She said she loved it. Just a bunch of guys talking.
We should have her on.
We should.
We should.
Bunch
Yeah.
of truckers, huh?
Yeah.
By the way, the 31st, we will have Jason from Driving Us Crazy.
Nice. Jason Luber.
Yeah.
Jason
Yeah.
Luber.
So he's agreed.
The traffic guy from Channel 7.
Yeah. The thing is, we got to start at like 9:30 because he's got to do he's got to do his traffic thing. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. So
They have a cute little jingle on that, I think I've heard. Like, it's the morning traffic or something like that, don't they? I probably didn't represent that really well.
I've listened to one episode, but I am looking forward to listening to JR's episode.
Right.
That
It should
was
be out today, I heard.
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what
That
JR
would be
mentioned
awesome.
last week, is he thought it would be released today. So,
Very cool.
yep.
Chili Dog wants to give a shout out to, of course, this is such a shocker, Andrick and Edwin get a shout out from Chili Dog. That's so weird. He mentioned a lot of other names, though, and he's probably forgetting some, and he feels bad about that. But Zach Johnson, Linda, Oz, Tracy, BD, Joanne, for all the paperwork. She is so badass and such a good person. Kendrick actually went to the hospital to visit him. Everyone who reached out, the night mechanics, and sorry for whoever I missed. It was nice to know that people are thinking about you. So
Nice.
good job.
Yeah, that's awesome.
All those people are much better than me. I didn't reach out at all.
And didn't Andrick and Edward, or at least Andrick, they played ambulance driver too? I mean,
Yeah.
some carrying around.
I'm not sure who drove him. I made the assumption his wife, but I never
I
asked.
thought it was
so-
Andrick. I thought
Okay.
Andrick took him.
I know Andrick was there till the end. Like, he didn't go home till like 2 in the morning.
Yeah, I think he's still sitting by his bed at night, making sure it doesn't mean anything.
Oh, too much.
And then shout out to Scooby, Kendrick, and KC for going to LePan last night, helping out CC clean the asphalt out of her truck. So
I'm glad you said that, Jam. You as well. You left yourself off of there.
I don't like shout outs.
I actually missed it. I have it on my first page, and I didn't put it there. I didn't forgot. So forgot to move it over. It's kind of like my pen. I lost it because it was behind the mic.
There you go. Yeah, that was a messy job. I was only there enough to dirty my shoes a little bit, but yeah, that stuff is really sticky, and it's weird. If you try to like chop at it, you don't get nothing. You got to get under it and like peel it,
Right.
you know. And
Yeah.
it's just, it's pretty nice. It's pretty nice.
And then it kind of like re-sticks, doesn't it, Jam, as you're
Yeah, like-
peeling it? Because you got oil, the whole bed's oil or whatever, and it re-sticks a little
yeah,
bit.
it's interesting.
I mean, I haven't been a part of it, but it has to stick to your shovel, right?
A little bit, yeah.
it's-
I mean, we had the scrapers and the shovels, and
Yeah.
I mean, it was dry enough where it wasn't really sticking to the tools that much. You know, the scrapers would have quite a bit on it, but I mean, it just was really weird because you really had to get under it right by the metal to kind of
Yeah.
peel at it, you know. And yeah, you know, I thought for sure I was like, by the time I get over there, it's probably be cleaned up. You know what I mean? And then it's like, wow,
Right. I totally envision like cold caramel. You know what I mean? Like when
yeah.
you touch it, your hand is stuck to it, and then once you get it like pried away, it has all the stringy.
It's kind of like
out to
really
it, but I mean,
thick molasses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we need to, now that the drivers have experienced that and gone through it, we just need to get a little more adept at, okay, we're going to be hauling this. We need to spray a little more loose juice in there, or, whatever the case may be, right? It's a learning curve for all of us. And
it's a learning curve, but I think the lesson was learned.
Yeah.
Like that's not like, I don't care if you had some cold frozen grain in your 35-foot trailer, you rather mess with that than,
because you could chip it. You could chip it out, right? You make progress. This stuff, it's like hitting it's like chopping wet wood? Would that be a description? There's no description for it.
No.
I couldn't understand it.
What's that stuff called?
SMA.
SMA. Yeah,
Yeah.
that stuff is the devil.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I feel bad because all of the people that are running the supers right now, when we hire an end-dump driver, we can educate them. Hey, if you're going to haul this, don't do that. If you're going to haul this, do this. If you're going to do this, don't do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because we've experienced it.
Yeah, this is like, let us know what you shouldn't do when you come back.
Right. Yeah. It's like these 4 people so far are running the USS Enterprise, and they're finding the new frontier and learning their way through it.
Yep.
What's good and bad aliens out there, I guess.
Yep. I would definitely be keeping an eye on what some of these other companies are doing.
Right.
You know
right.
what I mean?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So amazing stuck material.
Amazing stuck material. What is that?
No, SMA.
Oh, SMA.
Oh,
Yeah.
I see what you were trying to do there.
Yeah, SMA.
SMA.
We can make that work. ASM.
I know what that S can stand for.
I almost went somewhere, but I'm going to be holy today.
I think it's shitty, messy asphalt. Greatest podcast ever.
You guys got any more shout-outs? No more shout-outs? Super Dave, you got any shout-outs? You like anybody? Don't like nobody.
No.
All right, well, let's get into the discussion, because this first topic is it's bad, but it's good, right? So everybody knows about the trucking accident on 285 that happened a couple weeks ago, where that flatbed jackknifed, he spilt a load of pipe and angle iron and stuff onto cars, ended up killing somebody. But anyway, California trucking company, Monique Trucking, who employed Ignacio Cruz Mendoza, who was driving the flatbed on 285 that killed one person and injured others, has been shut down. They shut the door. The FMCSA came in there and they shut them down.
Good.
A post-crash investigation revealed that their leadership, right, that would be us in this company, had a lack of knowledge of the safety regulations despite receiving multiple roadside violations in the previous 2 years. Clearly, they don't do what we do. If we get a violation, like there's a plan of action, like how are we going to make sure this doesn't happen again? Like, I can't believe we got a ticket for this and, we go to war, basically, right? They were found to be egregiously non-compliant. Am I saying that right?
Yes.
Pretty close. And they did not have an alcohol use testing program and were not registered in the clearinghouse. They failed to ensure the drivers met CDL standards, meaning this guy did not have a CDL, and they failed to comply with hours of service, no ELD, and they failed to comply with the vehicle maintenance and inspection standards. They went to the boss. Number one, he said, I didn't know I had to do drug tests. And then number two, with the inspection standards, he says, I tossed the papers. It's a bunch of paperwork. Nobody keeps papers anymore. So
nobody keeps papers if you have it filed electronically.
Yeah, like if
you still have to have
You
record
can
of it.
print and download it in.
Yeah.
we don't need that. Get rid of it. We don't need this. Get rid of it. You don't need a CDL. We're just driving commercial vehicles.
Right.
And we don't need a drug testing program.
Right.
Because
why mess with that?
Yeah.
No one does drugs that would drive a truck.
Yeah, we just want to get in, turn the key, and go.
Yeah.
Yep. So it's companies like that give us a bad name.
Absolutely.
That
Because
company
the whole
was
industry.
Yeah,
you
that
know?
was a bad company with bad people running it and a driver that's not even supposed to be driving big trucks. And somebody lost their life over that. It's really sad.
Yeah.
And the thing is that family, so what? They're going to go sue Monique Trucking, or they're going to sue this guy that didn't even have a CDL. They don't have anything.
Right.
Like that family has lost a family member, and not that money makes up for that, but there's nothing,
Jam.
Yeah, you just lost your family member because of a shitty company.
I mean, a couple things on that is, I wish they would have went in a little more in depth. Is this a 1 truck fleet? Is this a 10 truck fleet? Is it a 30 truck fleet? I feel, and I have no idea, right? I tried researching it a little bit, and nothing came up real fast. I didn't spend 20 minutes and dive into it anywhere, but I feel this was a 1 truck show. You know what I mean? And that's that. But I don't know that. So I think that's an easy excuse for an independent to go, well, I'm not part of the drug and alcohol program, even though they should be, and just some other things like that. Yeah. So that kind of, it bummed me out that they didn't go a little more in depth, that, hey, we didn't take 1 truck off the road, which that truck's off the road, of course, because of the accident, but
we shut them down. Yeah,
we took 50 bad examples at that business. It's 1 business, but there's 50 trucks, and we just don't know that. And then the second layer to the onion for me is, just like you said, Jam, a company like that is giving us a bad name. And I guess to dive into that a little bit, we're criticized by legislators and politicians and news agencies of how bad trucking is because of companies like this. Right. So it's not just the public. You know what I mean? When you hear we look bad in the public, it's one thing, but we are truly criticized because legislators will try making new laws for this. They'll try, creating with new things, and it'll be more cost and more hoops the good companies have to fall through or jump through. But the point is, they need more police officers or more troopers or more investigators doing more investigations on the current companies. And I mean, they're the ones that created the CSA. All you have to do is go to the CSA and go, give me the list of the bottom 50 companies. Right. Start there and work your way up. Right. Let's get the bad actors off the road, because I guarantee you, when you go in and audit them, they are just like Monique Trucking. They don't have a drug and alcohol program. They're not doing the truck inspections.
They may not have insurance.
Right. Exactly. All of that. But we need people in place to go take care of that stuff. Right. And they're not. But I guarantee you, we'll create another law. We'll create another thing, just like legislators do, but they won't give any more money to, say, the Colorado State Patrol, for example, that's short 60 troopers in the mountains. Right. They just want to make new laws and more legislation for more rules and regulations in the mountains.
Just like guns.
When they're short, 60 troopers up there on the I-70 corridor to protect the ones that are there. Right. If we had troopers there to protect the ones that are there, we wouldn't need more.
Right. Enforce the laws we already have. The laws we have, not all of them are good, but there's some good laws to keep things regulated. Absolutely. Go out and enforce those.
Yes.
Yeah. Yep. Same thing with guns. They want to come up with all these new guns, but they're not enforcing the laws with the bad guys that have the guns. So what's the point?
Yeah.
That accident has all the residents along that 285 corridor up in arms, as it should. Somebody died, right? We got a call here. Tracy transferred it to me, and I didn't answer it just because it sounded funny, but the voicemail's like, hey, I'm so-and-so. I'm working with Jeffco to see how we can improve 285. We want to know how many trucks you guys have on 285 on a daily basis. My way as this answer in my head right away was like, well, how many you need?
Oh, that's great. Yeah. That's a great reply.
But, apparently when they talked to Tracy, they said they're trying to find out about Coleman and us. Well, we're the 2 major carriers are going up to 285, going up to Fairplay on the 285 corridor. I researched this guy's name. He runs a ranch up there, and he's been, trying to do things with traffic before.
He's vocal because he's upset there's trucking up there.
Yes, exactly.
What you're leading to.
I highly doubt he's working with Jeffco.
Yeah.
Because if I did talk to him, okay, well, listen, can Jeffco vouch for you? Can you send something on their letter?
Yeah.
But you're just going to call and want to know how many trucks we have up there going today?
Right.
Yeah. How many?
Yeah, he's working with Jeffco because he's trying to get things passed to keep the trucks off the road in Jefferson County.
Yeah,
because of people like this Monique Trucking. Right. Therein lies the problem.
Call Monique Trucking. Don't call us.
Right.
We didn't do anything.
Right.
But that being said, I mean, we need to be perfect going up there.
Absolutely.
People's lives are at stake, and we could joke around, or I could joke around about how many trucks you need up there, right? But at the end of the day, somebody died, and if that was somebody in my family, I would be calling trucking companies too, trying to figure out how many trucks you got going up there on a daily basis.
Yeah, I tell you, I got to speak up on this too. It's a shame the entire industry is shown in a negative light. The people turn on the news at night at 5 o'clock and they see these lawyers advertising for their firms saying, hey, these trucks are designed to run overweight. Have you heard that? Mm-hmm. Right? No, they're not. They're designed to haul the weight safely that the laws have in place. 80,000 pounds or 85,000 pounds on secondary roads. And the vast majority are companies like JFW, like DG Coleman, like Fiore, like all of these companies. And I think this is probably a social situation that happens all over the spectrum, right? The vast majority of companies and people and truckers in general are like us. They're safety conscious, and I talk to a lot of people in my work every day. The first thing they're concerned about is the safety of JFW when they're applying for jobs. What do you guys do to promote safety? And I say, well, we have cameras. Well, we have safety directors.
Right.
We have inspections. We have testing, written and practical exams, following up, making sure the drivers know what they're doing, and all of that isn't advertised on TV. It isn't advertised on billboards to the general public. So they do have a negative impression of the trucking industry, and it's just not true.
Yeah, Dave. I mean, you're exactly right. I mean, Jam, was hesitant about answering that guy's question, but that's the thing. He'll take. Let's tell him. We got 100 trucks. He's going to run with the 100 trucks. He's not going to run with what you just stated, that we have 5 safety people. This is our safety rating. He's not going to go that. He's going to go. He's not going to go out there and go, here, we have JFW and we have Coleman running up there. Here's their safety records. They're amazing companies. We need more companies like that, and the companies that can't meet that criteria shouldn't run here. He's going to say, I want all trucks stopped.
Yep.
And I know that's what you guys are getting at. I did look it up while we were talking, Dave. 2 trucks. I looked up their
2
DOT.
trucks.
Oh,
Two
yeah.
trucks.
Oh,
sure.
Monique, 2 trucks and 2 drivers.
Sure, you were able to pull up their US DOT.
Yep. So
Yeah, and I had a question about that, and I know originally, like, trucking companies of a certain size, I feel like weren't required to run ELDs. Is that
it's
not?
not size, Jim. No, it's the year of the truck, the motor.
Gotcha.
And they go back and forth, and then anything with electronic, I can't
Yeah, I
remember
think
the year.
everybody needs to be on it now, but it was a process to get everybody converted.
Yeah, I
over.
mean, you can still get around it with the age of your truck.
Okay.
Because if you don't have the electronics to run it, which
that
I
makes
think
sense.
that you can run an app, you can run your phone, you can run.
Well, I mean, that's the funny part. We could do it on our phone. I mean, we've done it.
Exactly.
You know what I
Dave.
mean?
There's still,
So, yeah.
Yeah, but running an app on your phone isn't an ELD that DOT could plug into and like look at your history through. That's
it doesn't meet that criteria.
right.
So then you get
but you
out
could
there
run
with
an
your-
you could run an electronic log.
Yes.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's come a long way from running loose leaf logbooks, and just
Absolutely.
making them say what you want.
Yep. Yep.
So
Absolutely. Yeah, we just had, I mean, Dave was just telling me the story a few weeks ago, and I know everybody's seen the trucks, but they were beautiful fuel tankers next door that were getting repaired here and there and painted up from Denver Truck and Trailer. And they were deleting their emission stuff. In fact, we bought some of the stuff because we needed the emission stuff for our trucks. And I guess they ended up going out of business. I don't know that reason. They just went out of business.
It was a husband and wife. They said they couldn't find drivers that were qualified to haul their fuel.
Okay.
Because you need your hazmat, background check.
All that stuff,
Yeah,
right, Dave?
definitely another layer.
Yeah. And they took the trucks and tried to sell them, and with all the stuff deleted, they couldn't. Took them to auction, and the rumor is they only a dealer could buy them, because then a dealer can fix them. And they were like, I'm making these figures up, but like a $100,000 truck for $20,000.
Yeah.
But we couldn't even buy
But
them.
needed $20,000 worth
Yeah,
of
with the-
emissions controls put on them.
That we had some of the stuff
Yeah, right?
in the big circle. But
Yeah, those were good-looking trucks, but it sounds
Oh.
like they lost their asses because they made them look like that.
Yep.
Exactly,
Yep.
Jam.
Yeah, Jam. That's kind of my story. That doesn't work anymore.
Right.
You know what
I was
mean?
going to say that's people trying to do it like we did 20 or 30 years ago, and you can't.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, even the glider kits. I mean, those are essentially how to go away as well. Am I
Yeah,
right?
they're gone. Yeah,
Yeah.
they don't make them anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I tease Scooby all the time. It's getting tougher and tougher to be an outlaw. That's just a joke between us, because 30 years ago we did some outlaw shit, but you can't do that today. No. You can't. It doesn't exist.
Yeah, but even 30 years ago, doing that outlaw shit. I mean, not everybody was safe, right? But you guys still knew how to come down a hill.
Oh,
You
yeah.
had a
still had to-
CDL.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
We may have known how to do that, Jam,
Right.
but the bottom line is, was it right? No.
no,
You know what I mean? So that's where.
right.
you
Oh,
know,
yeah,
It's kind of either comply or die,
right.
right? You
Yeah.
know what I mean? That's it in a nutshell.
I get it. I mean, I used to run when I was over the road. I had a W900. I didn't own it, but I ran a loose leaf log, and I would drive from here to almost to Chicago, right? And then right before I would hit my 10 hours of driving, I would stop and fuel, and then I would rip those logbooks, those sheets out, and then I would just backtrack and show that I just rested for my 8 or 10 or whatever it was, and then keep
Keep
going.
going again, yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. You can't do that today.
I wouldn't want to do that
Right.
anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
exactly.
Like
Yeah, but-
back, like I don't know what I was thinking. Like, and the company I was driving for, they weren't paying me $1 million to get that load over there as quick as I could. It was, that's what I thought I was supposed to be. Oh, I'm driving for Outlaw Trucking Company. I got a fast W900. I
Right.
got a loose leaf logbook. Let's go. But those days have changed, and I just don't want to be that guy.
Yeah.
Yep.
I was talking to, I'm going to bring it up later, so we'll just do that. But I had a good conversation with John Kling yesterday. He's been driving for 16 years, and we just, have our own, point of view now that we've been doing this for a while. That's different than somebody
Yeah.
that's brand new.
Yeah. Yeah, for
So-
sure. John's a good dude. I chatted it up with him for a little bit a week ago. Yeah.
He's interesting.
Yeah. It's
In
kind
a
of
good
funny.
way.
Pretty quiet when he goes by, and then once you start talking, he opens up. So, yeah.
Okay. I just heard back from Megan. So Mary's birthday is July 13th.
Oh,
Yeah, she'll be 14.
very cool.
Happy birthday, Mary. All right, let's see. Jimmy V shot me a text here. Let me pull that up. I'm all over the place, but that's okay. Good morning, gentlemen. Happy podcast day. I know Ray mentioned last week about Wallstrom. It can be a bit chaotic in the morning, and just want to mention that we really need to pay attention to our CB radio. Sometimes they are asking us to move up, move back, or that we are loaded and they're ready to scale out. Their new scale is up and running, and we also need to make sure to let them know if we are on the new scale, the old scale, or on the west scale. Also, never try to attempt to get on the east scale when coming out of the bins. One more thing I want you to add is, if you are dumping at Plant 12 or Plant 11, please put that truck straight up and down the ramp. I did see someone trying to dump at an angle yesterday,
Oh, no.
but I did have the driver straighten out. I hope the driver did not feel that I was being mean, just trying to help and avoid an accident from happening. Thank you all. Be safe and high road up. That's great, Jimmy. Like good advice on Wallstrom, but as far as helping that other driver out, I also hope that driver realized that you may have saved him from tipping a trailer over. And if you hear from a driver that's new or old, a vet or somebody that just started, if they think you're doing something unsafe, just listen to them. I mean,
Right.
you can't go wrong by stopping.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you can't go wrong, can you, Jim?
It's never good
Yeah.
to know it all,
Yeah. That's
No.
funny.
And nobody does.
right?
I had to run by yard 23 this morning and drop off a trailer. And I was like, oh, I'll just grab some fuel. Nobody's here, So I pulled up and punched my stuff in, and the deal timed out, and I was messing with it. And Jimmy pulled up, and I said, Jimmy, am I not clicking because I couldn't get fuel? And I was like, is this not the east side? And Jimmy's like, yeah, it's the east side. And he reaches over and flips the lever up. and I must have hit it when it timed out and put it back. And I'm like, thanks, Jimmy. I appreciate it. And he goes, yeah, I wondered who the hell was over here getting diesel in their pickup. I'm like, man, now I'm in trouble and I needed his help to turn on the pump. And
Yeah. Shout out to Jimmy V. I just had a nice exchange with him too. He's super engaged with JFW and just really cares and, isn't scared to speak up and sound off and be part of the family. And it's just nice to see somebody that embraces the culture,
Absolutely.
Yeah, unless he was like scared for the driver or upset, I can't see Jimmy being
mean.
Mean, like, what the F you doing, straighten out, I bet it was a conversation of, I'm worried about you. You got to get straight on the ramp.
Yeah, and what great information on the new scale to announce yourself up there at Fry's.
Yeah, right.
To not be able to load under the bin and go to the west scale because you can't make that turn.
The east, yeah.
Yeah, or I'm sorry, was it east?
He said east.
Okay.
It's the scale.
Yeah.
Okay. And then, dumping crooked on the ramp and, I know Kendrick goes over that in the class.
I bet when I hear about somebody doing something like that, it's like, okay, who showed you how to do it that way? Nobody.
Right.
Yeah, nobody.
Like,
right.
JR didn't show you a video of people dumping properly crooked on the ramp.
Absolutely.
Kendrick didn't teach you to dump crooked at yard 23, and your trainer didn't teach you to dump crooked during training.
Right.
So where did you pick that up from? And
you don't see the other trucks doing it.
Yeah. Where, are you just not paying attention?
Right.
So, yeah.
What have we had? 2 leases, Jim, or 3 layover?
Two for sure, Dave.
Yeah.
I know
over there at the East plant because they were dumping crooked.
Yeah. If you want to see what happens to somebody dumping crooked on a ramp, just come over here to the main yard. Watch our reader board, and we have a leasey over at Plant 11 put one over because he's dumping crooked on the ramp.
Yep, that we recorded on our own safety cameras. It's our video.
I think that was still a Geotab or a surf
I think
site,
it was,
surf site,
Jim,
right?
Yeah. I would have to say, though, I would have to bet that we would probably have our own trucks that have tipped over if it wasn't for our liners, though. I think
Jim.
I think we've been crooked enough that the liners have saved us.
Wow.
And we
being 18 inches up the sides instead of just a floor liner.
Yep.
There's no resistance and the material flows out.
Yeah, and I think it
out.
stands up and we luck out.
But that's the thing. I mean, so we luck out.
Yeah.
But we also do a lot of things to make ourselves lucky.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
We luck out coming down the hill every day, but we've got good equipment to luck out in, and we got a good training program for our drivers to be lucky.
Right.
Doing hard work and doing the right things make you luckier. You know what I mean?
Here's the concern.
You make your own luck.
Yeah.
Right.
Here's the concern about that, though, is if that driver was doing that and dumping like that, just like you guys said, he wasn't taught that. He wasn't shown that, or she, whoever, whatever the case may be. But what else could that person possibly be doing that we didn't teach?
Yeah.
Are they bombing down the hill too fast? Are they, not using the engine brakes and just standing on their foot pedal all the way down the hill, and reeling out those disc brakes and just, there's all sorts of issues. And, we always bring that up. If you're not doing the small things, are you doing the big things that are hard? So a little bit of worry and concern there for sure. And those are things that, right here, Jimmy just helped protect us with. Mm-hmm. So thanks, Jimmy. Appreciate that.
Yeah. Dispatch is looking for drivers with hazmat credentials. Please respond directly to the Paycom announcement that went out yesterday, or text Linda, please. Okay. We put that Paycom announcement out. Linda made an announcement on the radio. Respond to the Paycom announcement, and then people calling on the radio. I got hazmat. Right. Just the message went out yesterday. Respond there. And I asked her what it was for and how quick she needed it. We have a hazmat job that we're bidding on for potentially the fall.
Right.
Right. So we're trying to create future work so we're busier this fall and winter. If you got hazmat, let Linda know.
And it's going to be 50-50 whether we'll need it or not. They have to do more testing in the soil. It's just a gasoline or diesel fuel. I think it's gas because it's benzene.
Benzene. I heard her say benzene.
So I think that's gasoline, right?
In,
I don't think
in
that's
the soil. So was there a fuel leak?
Yeah.
Fuel or gas leakage.
Yeah.
How big?
More concerning about that jam is how long. Because usually a big fuel leak, it just spreads out across the top.
Right.
You take the foot of wherever it's at, unless it's laying in a pool,
Yeah, I
dissolving
guess
into the ground.
I'm thinking
right?
yardage in tons, like how bad of a leak was
Right.
it? You know
right.
what I mean?
Yeah. We've
Like,
had
is it
some
one?
beauties
Is it
that-
one day or is it
that-
like 6 months worth
Yeah.
of work?
And it's so funny too because you're hauling dirt that basically had gas or fuel spilled in it.
Right.
You know, and when it gets to a certain level of benzene, they're like, "Oh, this is hazmat."
Right.
It's like,
It
whoa.
goes from just being contaminated to being hazardous.
right,
Because
right,
we used to haul contaminated dirt.
Yeah,
all the time,
all the time, yeah.
all the time. Yeah, yeah. And would have
So
loved
much
to have
so
had a
we
liner.
had plastic in our beds, and then we dump it out at the landfill, and they'd lay it all out on the plastic and let
Yeah.
it bake for
yeah, it just has
about
to.
a year or something.
Yeah, you'd have to just
Yep.
turn it in the sunlight in the air. Yeah, yeah, depletes the chemicals.
Some Coors announcements. There is a new route getting to the can. In order to go to the can now, you want to go over the bridge and then make a right and go around the building, and then you'll make a left and then back into the can. So essentially, you're not backing down that road anymore. You are going around the building, coming in the other way and essentially just backing up a little bit now. Except for tomorrow and Friday.
Tomorrow.
So that new route sounds like it's going to be permanent. Except for tomorrow and Friday, the road around the new cellar will be closed both Thursday and Friday. And Thursday we'll be closing the road near the CO2 tanks for some crane work, so all traffic will need to come in along the creek like it has for the last couple of years. On Friday, we'll be moving the new C1 filler into packaging, so all traffic except the cullet truck needs to use the road by the creek, but the cullet truck will need to access from the west end of the building. If you have any questions, please let me know. Don't let me know. Please let somebody at Coors know, because
Yeah,
I'm like Ruthie.
just get with dispatch.
There you go.
Yep. I can't wait to see it when it's all done up there because what a
What a shit
what a
show.
job. Yeah. I mean, what an undertaking to do what they've done up there. I mean, I don't know the cost, but they're a year behind,
It's a lot of Coors Light.
right? Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And I don't know. I love it on one hand, you know what I mean? Because it's like, oh my gosh, this is heritage to a degree, you know what I mean? I know they've been bought out, but it's still rated as Coors beer. That's as Colorado gets in my eyes.
Hey, I'd tell you,
But-
we've come a long way, because when I was growing up, you couldn't get Coors east of the Mississippi. Well, I was on a freaking cruise ship in Germany, and they had Coors Light. And I was wearing my Coors hat, and the bartender says, "Hey, nice hat."
Yeah, but that's west of the Mississippi.
No, that's east. Way east, 5,000 miles east.
Oh, too funny. Too
That is funny. Want to address the sweeping out protocol. There's still some issues with sweeping out. Okay, so if you are going from a smaller material to a larger material, you may be able to get away with not sweeping out. Meaning, if you're hauling sand and you switch to 3/4 rock and there's a little bit of sand in your trailer, it's not going to affect the rock.
Define a little bit.
Less than a 5-gallon bucket.
Okay.
Would you agree with that?
Agreed with that.
Okay. Yeah, if you got a wheelbarrow in there, you want to sweep that out.
Right.
Right? Otherwise, it's going to just look bad. You go to dump your rock, and now the sand comes out on the end. It looks like you're not sweeping out. That's a problem.
Right.
Little bit of rock, little bit of sand on the bottom of your trailer, no big deal. Anytime you're going from a bigger to small material, you have to sweep out. You can't go from 3/4 rock to pea gravel and think it's okay if there's some bigger rock in there, because the specs that smaller rock is being used for are set for a reason. You may be going through a small concrete pump that one of those bigger rocks, if they're pumping it into a pool or something like that, you could ruin that machinery or something like that.
Yep, absolutely, Jam. It could be a concrete pump set up to pump 3/8 pea gravel. That's it, and
Right.
all of a sudden your 5-gallon bucket of 3/4 rock hits
Right.
that pump.
Right,
Yeah,
exactly.
that's
So-
a problem.
So smaller to bigger may be okay. Bigger to smaller is never okay. What definitely is not okay is hauling grain and then going to rock and not sweeping out thoroughly. You got to
Yes.
get all that grain out there. there should be no grain visible when you go dump your rock load.
Right. That's what I was just going to say. So is it okay to have a 5-gallon bucket of grain in the nose of the trailer?
Never.
Never.
And I think we haven't talked about it for a little bit, but I know we're doing a summer fill tomorrow. I'm pretty sure it's tomorrow. We're hauling salt tomorrow.
I was going to get to the salt now.
Gotcha.
Hey,
So-
I got to throw this out there.
Throw
too,
it out
guys.
there, Dave.
Color is a problem.
Oh, you hit me with that throw.
You can't load tan concrete sand on a bunch of gray crushed rock
Right.
because that's going to pop right out, and the loader operator is going to say, "Hey, this is a contaminated load.
Right.
What's all that rock?" Because he sees the gray.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, so
yeah, the crush, same
you-
thing,
you-
Dave, crushed and river.
Yep. You can't have a bunch of fry rock if you're loading red infield mix.
Right.
You know,
Yes.
Yeah, because what's the gist of the story?
load contamination.
You
Sweep
just
out
sweep
your trailer. Yeah.
Yeah. Sweep out.
I mean, maybe we should put it in pizza terms. If I order a pepperoni sausage mushroom pizza,
And there's pineapple in it.
I was going to say pineapple. That is so funny, Jam.
Yeah.
I didn't ask for pineapple. I'm allergic to pineapple.
Yeah. My whole
I didn't pay for pineapple, and I don't want pineapple.
take it back.
Take it back.
Yeah.
Right? Who's paying for that pizza?
Not
me. Right?
I'm calling
Yeah.
my credit card company. I'm charging back so quick. Damn pineapple on my pizza.
All right. We dumbed it down, but there's the analogy.
Yeah. Getting to the salt. Okay, salt is particularly dangerous to contaminate loads with because concrete is allergic to salt, basically.
Yes.
Right? If you
That's
get
a good
salt,
description.
Yeah.
Allergic.
Yeah, if you get salt
It
in your-
breaks out.
yeah, concrete is all about strength, right? When you pour concrete, you're everything is spec'd out for strength, right? So you got like 3,500 psi loads, you got 4,000, 4,500, right? That means that concrete shouldn't break under that much pressure. Once you put salt in there, it weakens the mix, right? If we go and pour a bridge deck or we go and pour something that's being tested and it fails the break test because of contamination
Right.
from salt, guess who's paying for that?
Yep.
Yeah, that could be hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Simply said, why do we salt the roads in the wintertime?
Make them weak.
Because it lowers the freezing temperature of water so the roads stay liquid, right? Instead of freezing over. Well, it does the same thing in concrete. It changes the chemistry of the water that's used in the concrete.
Okay, I like that.
You guys
Essentially
are just busting it. this
changes the concrete.
Best
Makes
podcast
it break
ever.
out.
morning. Right? It's allergic to it.
I love that. Yeah, it is. Yep.
So here's the deal. You haul salt. When you're done hauling salt, you sweep that damn trailer out. If you're hauling salt and you got a little salt in there and you're going to get more salt, not a big deal.
Right.
When you're done hauling salt or you're done hauling grain, you sweep that trailer out.
Also, if you're hauling rock and you're going to haul salt, you need to sweep the rock out,
Right.
right? Because the spreaders are allergic to the rock, right? That's a good way to break somebody's windshield or ruin somebody's machine, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, basically, just if you're hauling specialty material, you got to sweep out before and after.
Yes.
So, all right. My last thing on the discussion is a max weight in the canyon. I got a call from Google yesterday. Chris Beam, he says it looks like Wallstrom is letting trucks out of their quarry at 97,000 again.
Wow.
We-
I thought that was...
Yeah, I thought the state patrol put a nix on that
You
a long time
know,
ago.
Chris Beam asked, he's like, I thought that's a big no-no because the max weight in the canyon is what? 85,000.
Right.
Right? Your overweight permits are not valid according. Is that Clear Creek? Jeffco?
I thought, like Dave said, that
it
was
was
state.
state.
I thought it was
I
state
thought the state
patrol.
of Colorado showed up at Fry's and is like,
Well, Fry's doesn't exist anymore. There's a
Right.
new quarry up there called Wallstrom.
Did you
New
know
sheriff.
that
New sheriff in town.
it was always called the Wallstrom Quarry?
yes.
We just called it Pit 6 all the time.
Yeah. It's the Wallstrom property, isn't
Right.
it, Dave?
Yep.
I don't know. Maybe we should call up there. I hate to be that guy, but, nobody wants to get anybody else in trouble. We want them to do it the right way.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I mean,
Where are we taking Fry Rock? Aren't we only taking it to Plant 12?
2 and 12.
yeah, for us, yeah, he didn't say we were hauling 97.
Sure.
But we're still doing it the right way. But
Yeah.
there's other people leaving at 97,000.
So there's your bad actors, right?
Or they don't know. Or Wallstrom doesn't. Or
'Cause
Marietta doesn't know. Somebody doesn't know.
I mean, without me throwing a percentage out, what percentage of trucks would you guys guess come down that canyon and get straight on I-70?
Most of them.
East or west?
At 90.
I mean, how many do you think are actually hanging a
70
right or a
70%.
left on 93?
Oh, 30%. Yeah, I'm saying 70% get on the interstate.
You're right.
Yeah,
Right.
minimum.
Yeah,
I mean,
You're higher at 90.
yeah, I bet it's easily higher.
I agree. I mean, that's
Yeah,
that
'cause
it's
why,
higher than.
why go around?
Yeah.
Well, let's say they're just going, to Boulder.
And not to jinx ourselves, but they've not set up on whatever Kipling or those areas
Right.
back in I-70 in a
Right.
long
Yeah,
time.
not in a long
and
time.
and if they're not out, I mean, it's just like the cops aren't patrolling like 270 in the morning. You're running 75, 80 miles an hour.
Right.
Yeah, Jim. Or Dave too, but it's 90 plus.
Yeah. There's your bad actors, just like Monique Trucking on Highway 285.
Yeah.
Right? They're going to give us a bad name. You know?
Yep.
You guys got anything else for the discussion before we move on to what's
Yeah,
next?
I just want to mention, because I didn't have a chance before because I was busy. Do we want to talk about mud flaps? I had that on my notes. And
I think we should. Yeah,
didn't
because
discuss
there's going to be a lot come out. I mean, I just went over it with JR and Scooby this morning.
Okay,
So
okay.
To
I
be
was
sure
just-
they saw the email. Did you print your page? I guess I can pull it up on my email right quick, just because I want the
I didn't.
wording.
I wanted to
for
talk
the
to you
last
guys.
sentence. Jim.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because it's our interpretation.
Yeah, but it is, but it's pretty
Clear.
The last word,
Right.
it's
Right.
I
Yeah.
got to bring it up. I guess I'm babbling here. You want me to try to bring it up so I can see if I can find it, Dave?
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, can we
Dave
do-
has another dad joke while we're waiting. I think, don't you, Dave?
No, I ripped them all off.
How hot is it?
It's so hot.
So hot.
If
your
I didn't
butt's
have
sweaty.
tube socks on,
Skittles melted and made a rainbow. I don't know.
oh man, now you're sidetracking yourself.
Oh.
I think we definitely have something more to discuss, Dave. I'm just not sure what.
About how hot it is.
We need some filler.
Yeah.
Is
How about? I heard you make the announcement this morning about the hot weather, Dave, and I was busy also.
Yeah, we were
did
gonna talk about
did
that,
we
weren't
talk
we?
about gearing down?
It's in the what's next.
I had to laugh after I
and
was
that's
saying
what's
that.
that's what's next.
I said, man, I'm done because I just tripped over my tongue. Like I couldn't even get it out of
Right.
me this
Well,
morning.
let's just move on to what's next. I mean, Jim can drop in there about the mud flaps.
Yeah.
It's just discussion. No one knows what
Normally
order we're
I'm
going in except
pretty
for us.
good on the radio,
right?
right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I do-
Driver.
That's right.
I do have it, Dave. I got it.
Oh, you
I
got it?
Yeah.
Jim, let's discuss mud flaps.
Okay, we'll just back up. Beep beep beep. So you want to discuss the paving part or for the regular end dump, Dave, on the wording?
I think for the masses, we should just stay with in general.
Okay.
I mean, it's up to you. I think the mud flaps on the supers, we can just
Discuss.
whatever.
Yeah. I mean, anyway, you guys, I went back and researched mud flaps and having to have them on the trailers or the track, just having to have mud flaps in general. And the discussion came up because
not to interrupt you. Why did you do that?
that's what I was just going to say,
okay.
was because Brannon, when you're paving, you literally do not have to have mud flaps. And obviously, we've got the super tandems going. We're paving quite a bit, and the drivers or people from Brannon was telling our drivers, told JR, hey, we don't have mud flaps because you tear them off or the pavers tear them off, but we don't have to according to the law. And I told these guys, I think I've heard that, but it's been a long time since we pulled that up. And there's been a couple revisions. Well, going through the law, like when we tear a mud flap off on a trailer, we usually try to have somebody come in and fix it, or somebody on site fix it. I know the guys carry mud flaps on their decks now too sometimes.
Yep, a couple of
so
them do
which
for sure.
which is just more weight, and it's a safety thing too. And if they're wet or if there's snow on them, because you're not on your grate anymore, you're standing on a mud flap. But anyway, I highlighted this and I sent it to the safety team for us to discuss here. So, however, vehicles and motor vehicles with splash guards that violate this section will be allowed to remain in service. We will be allowed to remain in service for the time necessary to continue to a place where the deficient splash guards will be replaced. Such replacement shall occur at the first reasonable opportunity. And that's what me and Dave have been discussing.
First reasonable opportunity.
First reasonable opportunity. a state patrolman or, a police officer might interpret that different. Our first reasonable opportunity is obviously if you're in Fort Collins dumping a load, your first reasonable opportunity is here,
Yep.
not up there. If you're halfway there with your load or you ripped it off, you're not going to come. You can bring something with you because this is the first opportunity. That's how we're interpreting it. So I think there's going to have to be a discussion if you rip a mud flap off when we need to get you here to get it fixed. And that's what we wanted to discuss with everybody. That's the discussion. I have to mention too, though, we shouldn't be ripping mud flaps off. It's like dumping sideways on the ramp, not cleaning your trailer out, all that kind of stuff. You should not tear mud flaps off.
I want to bring up, no matter when the first opportunity is to fix it, if we break a windshield while the mud flap's not on there, we're going to be held liable.
You could be, Jam. Yeah, absolutely.
You may not get a mud flap violation because you haven't had your first opportunity, but you did break that guy's windshield.
Exactly. So. That's the reason we shouldn't be ripping them off, right?
Right.
Because you're going to run some point without it.
Right.
That's just
At some point, you've made a mistake and backed on top of something.
yeah.
Well, I'd like to point out, I see a lot of mud flaps on trailers that are ripped. They're pulled out on one side, or maybe one side is ripping. We got to be proactive and fix that because it's going to rip off maybe tomorrow or the next day. But when you're doing your walk around at the end of the day, and if you see your mud flaps, compromised because 2 holes are ripped out, or maybe it's just dry rotting because it's 3 years old, fix it before it comes off in a pile.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You did say something brilliant though in the beginning of that, Dave. When you're walking around your truck.
Post ripping. That's brilliant.
Because you can't find it unless you walk around your truck,
right.
right? Right. So
You should be seeing it every time you sweep off your gate. Every
Well,
load you
right.
dump.
That's what I'm.
Right.
Walking around your truck.
Yep.
Yeah. So the last part of the mud flap provisions here, it's D of the section here, is vehicles Y involved in chip and seal paving operations or road widening equipment do not have to have mud flaps. If you're actively paving, you don't have to have mud flaps. Again, we're going to do other things with our super tandems. You might be paving. You might have to go get a load of material, let's say out of Fairplay. So we want mud flaps on the trucks. We want to, be as close as we can to the law as possible. Just like Jam just said, we could possibly break a windshield. It's how we look like, what we look like to the public.
Absolutely.
That's the basic issue. And I know Linda asked about sending this out to the drivers. I would have to warn everybody, just because we read this and just because we said this, you need to notify somebody that you lost a mud flap, especially if you can't find it and it's in the pile, because they'll go right in the plant.
Right.
And that'll plug up a belt. It'll plug up, conveyor up to the plant. It'll block the gate in the hopper. If you've lost a mud flap, you have to find it.
It could shut the entire plant down.
Easily,
Absolutely.
Super Dave, right? Easily.
And it could be tens of thousands of dollars too.
Right. Yeah, then they could charge us, back charge us downtime, right?
If you have a gate that's stuck with the mud flap half out of it, and there's sand still flowing out of that gate when the plant thinks it's closed, and then they have rock running up the belt under the bins where we dump every day, so now they have a mixture of sand and rock going in their rock bin or vice versa, not good. And then they have to waste that whole bin. They have to empty that whole silo, and
Hey, Dave, how do you know that?
yeah, because it's happened.
Yes, it has.
Has it happened more than once?
Yes, it has.
The one, remember the one time it stuck in the gate, but none of the material would make it on the belt. It all had to go beside it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
With that
Yeah.
belt,
Some shoveling.
that belt was shooting it right out beside the
Yeah.
belt, man. Not a drop went on the conveyor.
Remember the one time a rock trailer didn't clean out the rubble he was hauling? And the piece of concrete went back in and it fell through the gate, but
stuck the jaws.
in the gate, and it cut a $18,000 belt
Yeah.
that was brand
Brand
new.
new.
They had just put it on.
Yeah,
2
that's the
weeks
reason I knew it
prior.
was $18,000 because
Yeah.
they just put it on.
They handed us a bill that we had to write a check for that. So you may not think what you do is important, but oh my goodness, is it important? And you have to be good at what you do. And you know what? It's not hard. It's not hard to be good at what you do. It's very simple,
Yeah.
very easy.
Yeah, the thing is, there's always, we talk about it. There's that what if. There's all that stuff, And I'm reading a book that's pretty interesting, and they talk about the guy. He had a motorcycle going, 160 miles an hour, and hit a car with a little girl in it, and killed the car. That's funny. Killed the little girl in the car, and just his point to the story is, if the guy hadn't decided to drive recklessly, make that decision for himself, no doubt the girl would be alive.
No doubt.
That's just the plain fact, and that's what we're talking about here. It's just simpler things. A piece of concrete stuck in the deal. What cut the belt? That's because you should have cleaned out.
Yeah.
You made that decision not to do your job or to risk that.
Right.
And it may not seem like much, but it affects everything.
Oh, boy.
I wanted to mention earlier, Jam, and I got sidetracked listening to you guys. You can't get around the death that happened in that accident. I mean, that is the thing about it. But there's probably so many people upset because it was closed for 8 hours, 10 hours?
Yeah, overnight.
So think about the people's lives it disrupted.
Right.
There's somebody had to have a doctor's appointment. Somebody had to have a dentist appointment. Maybe they were going to visit a loved one that didn't make it in the hospital.
Trying to get to the hospital, yeah.
Right, Dave?
What if they were trying to get to pick their kid up at daycare?
Exactly. I mean, the ramifications from that is, nothing worse than the death. I don't want to belittle that, but it just screwed everything. And when you work in a different industry, and sounds like I'm belittling something, but you're working in the office and you miss a zero on a figure, that doesn't hurt anything. That doesn't shut down a road. That doesn't kill somebody. That doesn't do that kind of stuff. Right. We've all had, or we had Danielle on as a guest, and her whole experience as she's held life in her hand as a labor and delivery nurse. And I'm sure there's some ER nurses that have made some decisions. Jam, you were just through classes in that field, and that's an industry like ours where we have people's lives in our hands. And when you learn that, I mean, dumping crooked on the ramp, that doesn't mean that you were crooked enough that possibly when the trailer falls, something weirdly it snaps the hoist and goes through the cab, and kills you.
Right.
There's those things that, gosh, when do we, like Dave said, we were just headed in here. When are we accountable for ourselves?
Right.
When do you learn that what you're doing affects everything else, and sometimes what you're not doing affects more?
This is an inherently dangerous job. Mm-hmm. We make it safe.
Yeah.
But if you're not making it safe, it's dangerous.
Yeah.
Yes. We ask you to make it safe. It's up to you to make it safe.
Yep. Drivers make the company safe, and I always ask that question in interviews: who makes the company safe? Well, it starts from the top. Well, we could preach it all day long. We could talk about it on the podcast. We could talk about it in meetings. We could talk about it all we want. But if you're not out there doing it, we're not safe.
Yep.
That's the end of it. So,
Moment of silence.
Moment of silence.
It's almost
silence for safety.
Yeah.
Hey.
You're reflecting. I mean, that's, you guys all had to sit here and just reflect.
Absolutely.
Of everything we've been through.
I mean, I was thinking of the motorcycle that, passed us the other night going home, and riding, cutting, what do they call it? What they make legal to cut
lane
traffic?
splitting.
Split
lanes.
Split
Yes.
lane,
Thank you. And, I mean, we're going 20 and this guy's doing 45 at least. And just working traffic. And luckily he had loud pipes, so you heard him coming.
More balls than brains.
If they're, exactly, Jam. And I told Jim, I said, I don't want to know it, but I would love to know it in another year. Because would that become legal the beginning of the year or April or May? Or,
Recent.
it was recent.
Just
right?
recent,
I mean, this year. And I'd love to know the statistics after 1 year. How many more motorcycle crashes have we had?
Well,
because we've got a couple.
We've caught 2. I mean,
just our own cameras.
Yeah, we've caught 2 accidents of guys splitting lanes and messing up.
Right. So, what legislators think that's a good idea? right? I mean, it seems mind-boggling to me.
I mean, to me, it's just like Polis is like, oh, well, they're doing it in California. It's got to be good for Colorado.
right? Yeah, unbelievable.
All right, what's next? What's next is actually
What's next?
the name of our new segment created by Brother Dave White. The reason this came about is because we miss stuff, and having something that says what next on the outline is going to be super helpful for things like missing our own 89th anniversary.
Right.
JFW had its 89th anniversary last Friday, and we totally missed it. And that's just from not looking at a calendar. So
Yeah, I mean, I think, wasn't it? I'm making a memorial or something. We missed it.
we miss
We
that.
did.
Oh, we miss a lot of things.
Yeah,
Right.
Because we're concentrated on our week,
Right.
or right
Absolutely.
here, right now.
Yep.
Yeah.
I love the what next. The what's next segment.
Right. What we've always tried to be at JFW is proactive, though.
Right.
And everything we discuss is what's happened.
Yeah, we're very reactive on the podcast.
Yeah, right. So we're reactive, and that doesn't make us better. It's like those cameras that have made us proactive. We need to be proactive with what's going on and what's next. So it's just a line segment on the podcast when we get it. When we get the outline to go, oh, did anybody look at the calendar? Nope. Do we have a holiday? Do we have whatever coming? We've had what's happened. We have what birthdays are coming. We're proactive with that, but are we proactive with the other things, right? I didn't know it. I guess we're in the middle of one of the CMCA, one of the CSA safety blitz right now.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't even know that. So, someone made an announcement on the radio. I can't remember who it was, and I was like, "What? We're in the middle of that? I didn't even know it." Right? Usually, we get multiple notices and emails, and
Yeah, even from the CMCA,
Right.
we get some kind of notification.
Right.
But
So
I think that the what's next, because we're always looking, not always looking, but we want to make sure we haven't missed anything. But this is a perfect thing for the safety committee too, for next week, for those guys to get a hold of you, Jam, and go, here, this is what I think's what's next.
Yeah.
This is what I think's went on. And David, it's funny when you talk. I shook my head. I think, yeah, we're reactive, and we try to be, proactive. But everything we're talking about is being proactive. Sweeping your trailer out, being, not dumping sideways on the deal but we end up talking because you weren't proactive. Then we talk about we were reactive.
what happened?
Right?
Yeah, we're bringing it up again. I mean, we've
Yeah.
preached this same
Story.
epic battle
Yeah.
for our entire lives.
Well, and
we still have it happen.
What's that? There's
not
a
gonna-
movie, The Never-Ending Story. This
not
is the
gonna stop.
never-ending story.
Right. And
mean-
it's just like, oh my gosh, at what point can you not learn from someone else's mistake and take what we've taught you and move on and go, oh, I'm not going to do that. Right.
That's my favorite way to learn, is at
Yeah.
your expense.
Right. Yeah. Not mine. Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
Ooh, I don't want to be that.
I was just going to say it takes me 2 or 3 times. I mean, I was working on your pickup, Dave, after you left the other day, and I was trying to get the header deals on there, and I'm taking, and they were brand new, so they had this piece of plastic in them for shipping or something. So I'm prying with a screwdriver, and I'm pushing. I'm like, man, you watch. I'll slip off and put that right in my hand. It wasn't a second. I slipped off, put that,
Damn.
stuck it right in my hand here, and I'm like,
Ooh.
God, what?
I knew I was going to do that.
Right?
Yeah.
You're just like, oh my gosh. So yeah, it takes me 2 or 3 times.
So, some of that stuff, though, we go back to, okay, we've taught you, we've shown you, we've explained it to you. Now, is it a skill problem or is it a will problem?
Most likely a will problem.
Right? That's where you have to do your job. It's what you're being paid for, and that's the purpose of the safety bonus. We're inspiring you to do better.
I got to throw this out there. I mean, we've talked about tires and doing post trips and checking oil, and we talk about that literally constantly for as long as I've been here. But you got to consider it's like a river. If you're standing next to that river, you're looking at the river, right? It's the same river, but that's new water that's gone by. You're not looking at the same water. It's completely different.
Wow, Dave.
That's deep.
We're standing next to the river.
And it's all new.
It's all new. But it's the same river. So you got to keep talking about tires. You got to keep talking about checking oil and all of that.
Yeah, I like that.
I do too. That's
Wow, you're bringing the noise today, Soup.
Best podcast ever. Come on.
Best podcast ever. Wait till you hear my high road
I was
haul.
going to say, we didn't even need to get to the high road hall, and then he's being all philosophical on us.
right.
Awesome. Good
Quote of the
shit.
day, Dave Weldon.
Well, this was actually, it came out of the Dave and Dave's office, but the heat is on in regards to the actual heat. Probably coming from you, Soup, since you are the weatherman. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, it's been on the weather for a couple days now. We are going to be having the biggest heat wave of the season so far, and it's going to start tomorrow. I think today's only supposed to be 93, but tomorrow's going to be 97.
I'm
And
getting
they're
anxiety.
talking 100 plus, possibly records, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And this is, again, part of that river. We've dealt with it every year when the weather's hot. We run into new problems that don't come up when it's 50 degrees or 40 degrees. And we're pulling 6% grades up the tallest mountains in the country and hauling 80,000 pounds. And that's rough on the trucks. And the drivers have to drive accordingly. And how do you drive in 100-degree temperature when you're pulling Crow Hill loaded to 85 or even 92,000, right, guys?
AC on max all day.
Right?
That'll solve it.
Slap the button and mash the gas.
Yep.
Well,
You notice I said slap the
You
button.
got to be careful. You got
No more
to
slap the dash.
you got to pay attention. You got to be kind to your equipment. If you drop a gear, turn your AC off. Drop your windows down. It's only 10 minutes, right?
Turn your fan on before you get to
Turn
the
your
hill.
fan on before you get to the hill. Keep your RPMs up to about 1,500 RPMs. Don't lug it down to 1,000 RPMs as you're pulling that hill,
Right.
Because that's really hard on that engine. Can you do that when it's 25 degrees outside? You bet. It
Absolutely.
You
loves
should.
it.
You should do that.
It loves that cold temperature, but they hate the hot temperature.
Yeah.
You know?
Just to be clear, I was joking about the AC. You will just freeze your condenser up really quick if you leave it on max. All
Yeah.
day.
Yeah. No, I
Give it
used
a
to
break.
always just turn it off because that AC condenser is in front of your radiator and it's running all of that really hot, what do you call it?
Freon.
Freon, yes, through it. So
And it's also more load on your engine because it's spinning the AC compressor.
that's true too.
That's probably more on the engine than anything, Dave.
Yep.
You know.
And you could go as far too as just knock a ton off. You
Right,
know,
don't haul the
You know,
92,000.
first thing in the
Yeah.
first thing in the morning, grab your your good heavy one. Later in the day, last load, noon, something like that. Knock a couple ton off that truck. It's gonna save you a little bit of time. It's gonna be much easier, and it's just not that much money when you don't blow a possible radiator hose, you don't blow a tire that's at 115 degrees, or I'm making that up, 130 or better.
Oh my gosh,
if
yeah.
it's 100 outside, that tire's at,
Sure.
I don't know, 140, I don't know.
Well,
You-
one
don't
of
have to
one of
pull
mine's
over.
at 140. The other one's about 130. It'll be fine.
yeah. And you're back to that thing, did you do a good pre-trip or post-trip? Do you have a low tire? Because heat's a killer when it comes to tire. I bet in the, Friday, right? We're going to blow tires.
That's right.
Yep.
And everybody could go, oh, it's hot.
because
no,
of
it's
the
It's
heat.
it's the caps. It's the recaps.
yeah.
Yep.
Nope. Because that tire was run low
Creates
Yeah.
tons of tire problems.
and it got hot.
Brother Dave, for every PSI, how much does that heat up a single tire?
1 pound of air, 2 degrees of heat.
Right. So if you got one that's at 130 and one that's at 140, right?
Yes.
That's because your pressures are different.
Absolutely.
Yep. And that's going to cause a problem. And why do people blame recaps for the tires coming apart?
I mean, back in the day when recaps were created, they weren't as good as a brand new tire. Now it's been proven they're every bit as good as a brand new tire. They actually, when you build a recap now, when the tire manufacturers, our tire companies make recaps, they actually take our casing, they actually shave the existing tread off. It's called a virgin carcass, right? They shave the tread off. They run it through an X-ray machine.
Oh, wow.
Right? So they're looking for any holes, any weak spots in the steel structure inside that tire. They're looking for any blemishes that are going to cause that casing to disintegrate, right? Because they don't want to put a good tread on a bad casing.
Sure.
So then after that process, then it goes through the retread process. That tire is spun completely clean. It's, first it's trimmed, then goes through the X-ray machine, then it's spun clean, then they actually mate a specific tread to that tire. You can't just put any tread on any tire, right? It needs to be a specific width. It needs to be a specific thickness. It needs to be a specific everything. So you can only mate a certain tread to a certain tire. We happen to love a Michelin tread that is that same compound of a virgin tire. So we're getting as many miles out of a recap as we are out of a virgin tire. And then once that tire is, I'll use the word laminated to the casing, it's actually wrapped in a boot. They suck all the air out of the boot and compress the tread against the tire, and then it's put in an oven for 10 hours. And they cook that tire back together.
Wow.
Right? So it has a steel structure in the center holding the structure of the casing. Then they have a boot around it, pressing the tread around that casing and putting it together. So basically, they've recreated a brand new tire.
Right. So it's not the cap.
It's not the cap. Back in the day, they were like, hey, let's try and glue some tread on this tire.
God.
I mean, it was, in the 50s, recaps were a bad idea. Right. Also, too, they weren't radial casings, right? They were nylon. So, I mean, where we've come to today's technology, I mean, we literally may have 2 cap failures a year.
Mm-hmm. True cap failures.
Yes.
And that's maybe because there was something that it was a failure in the process.
The guy on the X-ray machine
missed it or something, or maybe it was micro and it became more.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or
I mean, like, go ahead, Dave.
Or, I mean, the one thing that does happen, and it happens on virgin tires too, and this is why it's so important to bump your tires and look for those air leaks and stuff. What a lot of people don't understand is you have a liner on the inside of every tire, whether it's a brand new tire or a recap, it doesn't matter. That inner layer that we patch, that we rough up and glue when we have a nail through it, we're gluing the inner liner of that tire. When a nail pierces that, it's allowing air to escape between the liner and the tread. What can happen there is you get a little bitty pocket. It's microscopic, and as there's air in that pocket and the tire rotates and hits the ground every time, that pocket gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. Pretty soon you've got a pocket the size of your phone, and you luck out if you caught it because it became a bubble, or it becomes a flapper because it finally came apart, or it actually gets so big it blows the retread apart. And I mean, or it can blow a virgin tire apart. The same thing can happen to a virgin tire because you left a nail in there. If you're airing a tire, if you air a tire, number one, it's got a leak. Mm-hmm. We need to find the leak. Mm-hmm. If you have a tire that's at 80 pounds in the morning, it's got something in it or something is wrong. We've actually had a rash. I think Mike's up to 7 Alcoa aluminum wheels now
that are breaking,
that have cracked.
Yeah.
Right? And those are almost tough to find because we're not looking for it. Right? We are now.
No, the other day I sprayed that whole tire, Dave, and it could have been the wheel.
Right, exactly. So
yeah. And I wanted to educate everybody a little bit, Dave, and I know as much as you and Mike deal with it. But when you ask about the recap jam and everything Dave went through, you can literally, when you pull that tire off, if it's been ran flat and got hot, because that inner liner that Dave's talking about becomes shredded. It gets lines in it.
All the way around what I'll describe as the sidewalls, but on the inside.
Yeah,
that's
on
the
location
inside. Of it.
I mean, you could pull it off, and maybe it didn't, in some circumstances, it didn't blow out jam, but you look at it and, this is ran low. The tire is disintegrated inside. So that's what I kind of wanted to give on the education. When caps weren't molded as well to the tire, still got ran hot, it still disintegrated from the inside out, and then laid the cap out on the road.
Yes. It got hot and peeled the cap off.
So
everybody's like, caps are bad.
Failed. No, the tire, you still ran it low, and that's Dave's whole point, my whole point. Same thing with, like Dave said, a virgin tire, you still ruin it with the heat, but it can't come apart because pieces can blow out, but it can't peel that cap
Gotcha.
off because it's not made the same way.
Right.
But it is still all heat. When you see I'm going to say when you see a cap, it's heat.
Right.
I mean, it's
99.9% of the time.
Yeah. There's no getting around it.
Well, I want to say the What's Next segment has been a big hit. So, good
Best
stuff, guys.
podcast ever.
Right.
You guys good on the What's Next?
Yeah, unless we missed something, it's what's next.
I didn't look at the calendar, so.
Well, I think I should have put it in discussion because that's where it belonged.
Right.
You
were excited.
What's next and tires has led me back to flat tires in the morning. And it's a problem.
It is.
And I don't understand how we're missing so many flat tires at night when it's clear we have them in the morning.
How is it clear that we have them in the morning?
Well, many of them are just completely flat with no air, or like 20 pounds, or off the bead.
Off the bead.
Right?
So a tire can't come off the bead in the middle of the night?
It can. It actually can.
Can it?
Right? It can, yes. It's not very common,
Gotcha.
right? Not very common. Is it possible? Yes, it is possible. But most likely, no, it's not going to happen.
Most likely, if it's off the bead in the morning, it was off the bead when you came in.
Right.
And
But
you can usually
yeah, here's what I'm leading to. When we do have one that's off the bead and we bring it in the shop to repair it, to put your spare on or look at that tire and figure out why it's off. If it has rub marks between the duals, it didn't come off the bead last night. It was off the bead yesterday and you parked it like that.
you drove it.
Yep. And the only way that can happen is you didn't do a post trip. And here's where we talk about, is this a skill problem or is this a will problem, right? We've given you a hammer to check your tires. We've asked you to check your tires. We've discussed it in the pre-trip, post-trip. Kendrick has taught each and every one of you how to do that. I mean, each and every step, we've covered it. It's still up to you to do it. And I guess we just really need to crack down on flat tires in the mornings. It's getting beyond an issue. Our mechanics shouldn't come in and have to change 6 flat tires every morning. And it's frustrating. We pay them to work on trucks, right? Not do tires in the morning to get you out on the road. And we need to do a better job at post-tripping. And we talk about it every single podcast. We sit here and we go, post-trip, post-trip, post-trip. Why is that? And Dave, you asked, about the belt, and we had to write a check for $19,000. Why are we bringing that up? Because we've had to do it.
Yes, sir.
And it's something we're talking about being proactive on this podcast. Doing your post trip is proactive. I know that kind of sounds like an oxymoron, being post and pre. Your post trip is being proactive.
Used to have an old friend when we would go out and do something, we'd be working on cars or we'd be doing whatever. And he would always look at me when something screwed up. Well, we can chalk that up to experience. We have a lot of experience here, you guys.
Right.
Right?
We're out of chalk.
Yeah.
Because I'm sitting here thinking about this, Dave, and we add stuff to it and we add stuff to it because we I don't know. I guess we get tired of it, wore out. But if you made that part of the safety bonus, what does that change? Because the thing is 90% of the time we can tell you what happened to that tire.
Right.
Just like we said, if you find a flat, you drove that truck the day before, you brought it in, we bring it in, it's off the bead and has a rookie ring
Between the tires.
Between the tires.
Between the duals.
You drove it flat.
Yes.
That's a safety bonus.
Right.
Easily picked out.
Yes.
We pull the tire off the wheel, off the rim. You look inside it, and it's all shredded inside. You ran it low.
Right.
And not low for like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
You ran it low for
Hours. Yeah.
to get it hot enough.
50 miles.
It disintegrated.
Yes.
So, I guess, in the podcast, we brought stuff up about this, and some drivers are like, yeah, make it part of that. And why should we? It's just, you said it, it's just a will and a skill.
Right.
Just do the job.
Yeah, I want to throw a tip out there, and I used to do this all the time, summer, winter, it didn't matter. When you're stopped, bump your tires before you get back in.
Yeah, Dave.
I would bump my tires 2-3 times a day, and you can identify before it gets to be a problem that you might have a low tire, or you might, have an air leak. You can hear it, right? Or, we do even have it in our training manual to walk your truck whenever you're getting back in after you get, back from McDonald's or whatever, or maybe you're checking your load, you're at the tarping area up at Wallstrom. Walk your truck, look for leaks, listen for air leaks, use your nose to smell for oil on your hub,
antifreeze, all that.
Smell that,
clutch, brake, yeah,
right.
Yeah.
So use your senses. Don't just run right back to that truck and get in and drive off. You might say, well, I don't have the time to walk your truck, but in the end, it's proactive, right? It'll save you time.
Yeah. And we're talking about this too, Super Dave. How many times did you walk around your truck, like at the plant, or you pull in a dirty area and you walk it, and the two tires look totally different because one's not picking up the dirt, or the one is picking up the dirt, and you're like, what's wrong with that tire?
Right.
It doesn't matter. The
Square
other
peg,
three are
square hole,
right. The other three tires around it don't look like that tire. There must be something wrong with it. Because I guarantee you, when me and Dave walk a truck, and we almost always put tires on in pairs. The 30 seconds of the tread almost always match, right? Well, when we see a walk out to a truck and you see one wore out and you see one not, one of those tires have been run flat, right, or low for a long time. Well, that might have worked all this time until this really hot day, and now that tire is going to blow out.
Yeah.
Right.
But we're going to look at it and go, hey, that's two different treads. That tire was run low a long time, and it couldn't handle the heat today.
Yeah. I do want to bring up, like, if a tire comes in, first thing in the morning and it's 80 pounds, I'm probably not going to give you an earful of crap.
Yeah.
Because, it's possible that the tire, whatever was in the tire was on the bottom half. I'll go with bottom
slow
half.
leak.
Yeah, slow leak. But to me, it's a kudos. Hey, you got a tire. I believe it wasn't like that last night, and it is this morning. Kudos to you. Good job catching it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's a good thing. That's checking them at night in the morning. But when they come in and they're flat, I get a little testy.
We don't want to be paralyzed by 80 pounds in a tire.
Yes.
We still want to have the skill and the will to go out and get the loads hauled.
Yep.
MJ came in the other day, had a tire at 30 PSI. I said, Dave asked the questions, I asked the question, do you happen to know if the shop checked it? If the gator stuck on it? Did you see anything in the tire? And MJ said no. And I aired it back up to 110, sprayed the whole tire, sprayed the valve stem, couldn't find anything in it. I'm like, and the wheel could have been broke though, Dave. I didn't spray the wheel. We sent him, and I said, check it tonight. Keep an eye on it. You can probably
wonder what happened to that.
I don't know.
MJ, we need a Paul Harvey.
Yeah.
And you're young enough, that's called the rest of the story.
Yeah. We still have to, we can't paralyze ourselves from not getting the job done. We still have a mission here, and that's what we want to accomplish. I mean, that's the reason the information on the mud flap. We still have a job to accomplish here, and we'll do it within the means of the law, if as much as we can. Because the end of that sentence was reasonable.
Right.
Let's be reasonable with the things we're doing.
Sure. And rational.
Yeah, let's not just roll over and go, well, I can't do it. That's the guys that we mentioned in the beginning, that are hurt. Mm-hmm. I know it says here, thank Father God and, about, getting through the injuries, but it still takes you to get through it. You going and doing the physical therapy, you believing that you can get up and walk around and stuff like that.
I say it all the time. God feeds all birds, but he doesn't throw their food in their nest. So
right?
Yeah.
He'll take care of you, but you got to do your part.
Yeah, I mean, funny, just because I was thinking about it, Jam, with the Holly breaking her pelvis, she was on the crutches, and we went to like that 6-week appointment, and the doctor said, oh, you're still using your crutches? And she said, yeah, because it hurts. And he goes, oh, you don't need those. And he took them from her and said, let's walk down to x-ray. Holly was like stunned. It was just like, I'm going to
That was her crutch.
Yes, exactly. Literally. And she was like, okay. But it was, it's what she was counting on because it was uncomfortable.
You just have this vision of like her taking a few steps and falling apart like Humpty Dumpty.
Yeah.
like in a pile of parts on the ground.
Wow.
Yep.
So
We as people can do it.
that's right.
But we got to believe. Mm-hmm. And we got to have the faith that we can do it.
You got to receive it.
Yep.
I put this in questions from the audience because I didn't know a better place to put it. But I met with John Kling last night. John Kling, he's a good person. I really enjoyed meeting with him, and he's just different. You know, he's been driving a long time, and you know, he gets it. You know, he gets at doing, you know, driving fast to the pit isn't what's going to make you the more money. He understands that.
That's awesome.
But we had conversations about a lot of things, and he's going to end up being a good go-to guy, mark my words. But one thing we talked about, I asked him, like I ask everybody, do you listen to the podcast? And he says, I do. I said, okay, do you understand why it's important to listen? He says, I understand why you say it's important to listen, but I don't agree with your reason. I'm like, well, what's our reason? And he said to replace the safety meetings that you guys used to have in person. He's like, I don't think that's a good reason because I think we need to have those in-person meetings because what if we disagree with your opinion? And I just love that because you could be driving around and we all have strong opinions mixed with unchecked facts, right? And you could disagree, and some people let us know later, hey, like I didn't really agree with that. But most people either just accept that they don't agree and they don't say anything about it, or they just move on, right? So I would like to encourage everybody, if you disagree with something we say on the podcast, this is an open platform, and we could even call you next week, right? Not what's next, but what happened. We could call you next week and have a discussion recorded on the podcast about it. So our opinions are our opinions, but we would like to hear about your opinions as well. There's probably not a lot of people that would take us up on this opportunity. John Kling is one of them. I was like, hey, is there something you disagree with that you want to talk about? He's like, no, not really. He's like, but there's not an open forum, you know? So I really enjoyed that perspective.
Yeah. So that was more the issue is there's not an open forum.
Yeah, there's no way for feedback.
Gotcha.
You know,
right
in
there,
the
face
moment.
to face.
You can't have a discussion,
I understand.
right?
I understand.
You know,
yeah.
like we're doing.
Like, why do you want to have that?
Yeah.
Okay,
Right.
that makes a lot more sense.
And
John.
I was just because Jam stopped by my office last night, or when he came back up and handed me this, he said what a good conversation he had with John, and we discussed it a little bit. And you know, as I thought about it overnight, and I know Freddie, for example, we've disagreed politically, right? And he's voiced that.
Right.
The thing is that I wouldn't want to discourage people is I know Freddie disagrees with us and love that disagreement, love to have the conversation, that kind of thing. But Freddie disagreeing with us not going to change what we believe and maybe what we talk about. And I wouldn't want somebody to discourage them that, you know, just because they disagree with us, we may not change the format. You know what I mean? And it's not that we don't care. We're just, and I know political's you can be one or two sides, basically.
Right.
You know, when we talk about bumping your tires, there is no other side.
So John did bring up, so it wasn't really a political thing because I believe his views are probably pretty lined up with some of our views, right? It was more of, he brought up, like, we were talking about the bottom dumps. What are they called?
The what?
Belly dumps?
Oh,
Belly dumps. Sorry. Yeah, I was drawing a blank there. We were talking about belly dumps.
Okay.
And he knows a little bit about belly dumps, but he wasn't able to give his input, you know, and he had some input.
Oh.
You know, so it's not just the political things. Like, you know, he may know some about tires.
Sure.
You know,
sure. And I just used the political thing,
Yeah.
you know, for an example.
I mean, there's definitely disagreements over the politics for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, after you said that, I guess, but it still takes time for somebody to do that, Jim.
Right.
I would love them to email any one of us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, give us that. I mean, if somebody knows something more about, you know, they worked at Michelin or something, you know.
Yeah.
I mean,
Educate us.
Yeah. Hey, if we're x-raying, you know, there's, you know, 57 cords. I mean, the one, and I can't remember, maybe you can, Dave, there's like a barrel of oil in every tire or some ridiculous thing too, Jam. And
like 12 miles of steel cable.
exactly.
Man, I
Steel
wonder
wire.
what the people that do the electric cars are going to do about their tires because I mean, that's oil and gas there.
Yeah. Oil and gas will never stop. It's in too many products. If the
And
women want to
clothes.
continue to have makeup, we will have oil and gas.
Yeah, and just so you know, I don't know if you've ever noticed, we don't always agree even up in this room.
Yeah.
And outside of the room, we surely don't always agree, but it's okay to disagree or have an opinion, and we welcome that. So
Yeah,
there
that's
you
the
go.
things that I think is missing out of our society is we don't have a conversation about it. And then a conversation where you can educate each other. Let's discuss it. You know, because I love to learn something new or go, wow, you're right. You know, that's
I didn't think of it that way, or whatever
Yeah.
the case may be. Yeah.
yeah.
So you've admitted I'm right.
I have, Jim.
I'm going to use that for the future.
How did
Is
Jeff
that the
put
what's
it?
next?
Yeah.
Jam's right.
Yeah. My name's Jim White. I admit Jam's right.
Hey, best podcast ever. Oh, that's funny. All right, tips and tricks from Ray Davis. And me and Ray, we disagreed on this a little bit. Okay, and he tried to pitch this one a few weeks ago, and I read it. I'm like, there's no way I'm going to read this because it doesn't.
But it's on
look-
here now?
He's cleaned it up a little bit. He's cleaned it up. So we're talking about sitting in your stool, right? And two things that are often helpful sitting correctly in your stool.
And we're not talking about pooping.
Yeah. Right? We're talking about being cool on your stool.
Right.
Sitting in your seat in the truck, right? Number one, I definitely agree with. Take your wallet out of your pocket. This is usually the cause of back pain and numbness in your legs. Number two, keeping your seat down low enough that you're comfortable. Feet flat on the ground and you can see in your hood mirrors, and sitting up straight is a perfect place to be. So there was a little bit of a fine line there because I get it. Like like me, I like to sit with my knees higher than my hips. But if you can't see your hood mirrors,
It's a problem.
it's a problem, right? So we ought to kind of clean that up a little bit. Bottoming out your seat is hard on your back and your body and is way too low. Some drivers think that if they're sitting high in the seat, they will have more visibility. This isn't necessarily true. Having your seat pumped up high puts pressure on your back and the back of your thighs just above your knees. It cuts off your circulation and causes numbness. Some people also experience a pooling of their blood in their ankles because of this. If you notice your ankles are swollen after driving for 9 to 12 hours, you probably have your seat up too high and are not sitting properly. The theory is if you're sitting low in the seat, you are looking up and forward in front of you, seeing what is going on in front of you. If you're too high in your seat, you're going to be looking down and you're not looking far enough forward. You're not seeing what is happening far enough in front of you. Let's set the bar high and do it the JFW way. Hope all is well with the JFW family, friends, and listeners. Remember, safety has no blind spot. Look and lean. Sit up in your stool. Don't be a fool. Much love and respect always. Ray Ray, the Black Sheep, 0013.
That was a good piece.
Yeah.
A lot of information there.
Yeah.
Being cool in your stool, man. I know the wallet thing bugs me quite a bit.
Yeah.
And what bugs me more is then when I take it out, I usually forget it in the truck or, you know.
So you actually have like a big old wallet like from back in the day with every single receipt and business card in there?
You're getting kind of personal there.
That's funny because I've tried to trim mine down, and take all of that crap out and keep it thinner. I've even tried putting it in my other pocket, and man, that does not work.
Man,
Dave, do you still have
Goes
your
right-
Sears card in yours?
No, I don't have that in there.
just my Robux.
Super Dave, way off the subject here because you're kind of a history guy, and I know you had your motorcycle that you rode out here. So me and Dave were at a parts place yesterday, and they had a Sears motorcycle being repaired.
Wow.
A whole like a 650 Honda,
Rooter
but
to the tutor.
But it was a 650 Sears motorcycle with the Sears name right on it. From
And the big rectangular Twinkie seat and the whole.
That had to be a collector's
it was
item.
cool looking.
It was
Dave.
pretty straight too.
It was really
Yeah.
for what 50s or 60s, Dave.
That's my guess.
Yeah.
I didn't point it out, but did you notice even on the brake lever on the drive right side, it even had a Zerk
Did it really?
Yes, so at the
greasing the
at
cable?
the pivot where the head of the bolt would
Yeah.
be was a Zerk sticking out.
Oh,
I'm
wow.
like, only Sears. That's
Wow.
awesome.
Yeah.
Right?
Good
You
stuff.
know, Sears and Montgomery Ward, they would sell everything out of their catalogs.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was like their Christmas
nine,
catalog. Like getting that Christmas catalog at
Right.
my house was like,
Yeah.
I would look through that thing for hours and circle what I wanted. And
Yep.
no, now it's just like you get a link from your kid to Amazon.
Me too, Jan. We would circle what we wanted for Christmas and say, I want that, you know?
Yep. Yeah.
I mean, kids today can't even understand what we're talking about. They don't even.
No.
They don't even know how to understand.
They don't understand what a catalog is.
Right.
That was a book with all your toys in it.
Yeah.
So a long time ago, Jam, I was able to go to Florida with the family, and I wanted a wallet that was safe and you couldn't get into it, and I don't know, just like if I dropped it or something, and I wanted a really good one, and I have that original wallet from that because it's not wore out.
Bring it in.
Well, I'm carrying it right now.
Are you really? Pull it out. This is your wallet from 40 years ago.
And the thing about it, Holly likes to laugh because
Oh, it's got Velcro on it.
it's got the Velcro.
Wow. And that's a Sears wallet.
It's not Sears. It's a LeBlanc or something that I
Okay.
had.
No, that's a good
Or
wallet.
yeah, Montbell.
Okay.
But I've had it for so long, and I just
That's
it doesn't
awesome.
wear out.
That's awesome. Mine's made out of aluminum, so I have high hopes for this one. And it goes in my front pocket, so I don't screw my back up.
Yeah, and did you get it with the what is it, RFI?
This doesn't have
Shield.
RFI, but it does have that cool little accordion feature.
Yeah,
You know?
because that's supposed to be so important, really, when you're traveling anymore with them scanning the cards.
Yeah. This is made by Exter. And yeah, it was a Christmas present from Bella
Nice.
that I paid for.
I actually bought one of those wallets to go travel with, Jim. That, it actually has a money clip to put cash on the inside, but it's really made for your cards.
Right.
And, you're walking around an airport, a bus station, a train station, and you don't know who's behind you or standing
Right.
in line next to you. And
Right.
they can just scan your information right off of that without that radio frequency
They
Yeah.
could.
protection.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, safety topic of the week, check for rocks behind your drip tray. If you have a drip tray on your trailer, which a lot of them do, when you're getting loaded with rocks, sometimes those rocks fall right in behind that drip tray and you cannot see them, but it gets built up and they could vibrate off and break a windshield behind you. So check that out today, guys. If you don't understand what I'm talking about, come see somebody on the safety team and they will explain it to you.
Absolutely.
Soup, you want to hit us with that high road hauling?
Sure. So there's a method to my madness when I started saying best podcast ever, because this week's high road hauling is about that sort of thing. So I love this little quote I'm going to start out with. I think everybody can identify with this because it's just great, lovable stuff. What day is it? Pooh asked.
Podcast day.
It's today, squeaked Piglet.
It's today.
My favorite day, said Pooh. Have the best day ever. Who in their right mind would call this the best day ever? It's a Wednesday on a normal work day. I'm not on vacation. I'm not getting married or having a baby. It's Wednesday. How can that be my favorite day? The best day ever isn't a positive Mr. Nice Guy or girl attitude. It's a mindset. It's an outlook on life that says it's in my power to turn this day around for good, both for the good of me and for the good of everyone around me. It's more than a glass half full mentality. It's a commitment to take action to make it the best day ever, despite what negativity we may experience. This isn't easy, and it doesn't mean there are no bad days. There are days we will mourn or grieve, be angry, or feel sad or lost. It just means there is a choice in the way we respond to the negative. If you feel incapable of making this choice yourself, seek out people in your life who will lift you up, dust you off, and stand alongside you as you move forward. Keep in mind that tomorrow is a gift, not a guarantee. Let's make the best of today. Every day has the possibility for greatness. That freedom of choice, the mindset to take control of things that you can control. Fight for the things you want and let go of the things you can't control. It's an integral part to not only making today the best day ever, but every day thereafter. The point is, there are no limits on how you must feel. Each day has the potential to be one of your best yet, but it doesn't get the chance if you aren't open to it. If yesterday was the best day of your life, it doesn't mean that you've peaked. Today can be the best day of your life all over again. Great days don't prevent you from having more great days. Actually, the more you practice happiness, the more often you'll be able to experience the best day of your life.
Love it.
It's not easy, it's not always simple, but it is possible. Make today the best day ever. Remember this potential, and happiness will find its way to you far more than you'd believe. So give today a fair chance, and it just might be the best day of your life. So make today your favorite day. And the quote this week is, you can't control all of the events that happen to you, but you can decide not to be reduced by them. And that was spoken by Maya Angelou, I think. I've used her quotes a lot. She was she was a writer and a speaker and things like that. I want to say back in the 80s, but anyway, smart lady and pretty profound stuff. But anyway, make today your favorite day, everybody.
That was awesome, Dave.
like
I love that one. I mean, I needed that, right? Like, no, seriously, I needed that. Like,
Yeah.
I felt like yesterday I got pretty beat up, and in the big scheme of things, it's nothing.
No, I think where that, I don't know, I get tired of being beaten up.
Yes.
Dave, that's more and it's all up to me how you feel, Dave.
Yeah.
That was the whole thing is what you choose to do with it.
Right.
But at a certain point, you're just like, damn, I'm done with that.
Yeah.
You know, and that's the angry part.
Yeah.
You know, but to continually try to be the guardian of your garden, of your surroundings, of your life, it's hard. It's hard to do.
I mean, I looked right at you yesterday and said, "My give a shit's broken. What do you want to do?"
Yeah.
You know
You
what I
got
mean?
no shits
Like,
more to give.
Yeah,
Dave,
we need to
that
make a
point. You
decision.
gotta-
It's simple. We do this or we do this. What do you
Yeah.
want to do? My
Yeah.
give a shit's broken. I don't care.
I get it, man. It's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard some
Yeah.
days, you know. And
But-
you're talking about your best day. Todd Zielinski will say today's the hardest day.
Right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's how you look at it. I'm going to jump into my final thoughts first just because it addresses the same thing. And this came from a verse of the day I received yesterday. It says, today, let's find strength in God's promise of reward for our perseverance. Have a blessed day. The verse is, but as for you, be strong and do not give up, for your work will be rewarded. And that's 2 Chronicles 15:7. I won't read you the whole devo, but I will finish up with the quote of the day. We are all faced with a series of great opportunities, brilliantly disguised as impossible situations. And that's Charles Swindoll.
Nice. Yeah, another good one. Dave, can you send that to me when we get back?
You betcha.
Awesome. I love it.
Yeah, I can send it to anybody. I have copies of all these, and I'd love to share.
Yeah. Well, you can go or I can go, Jim. I have political matters to discuss. They're not my final thoughts. It's political issues at hand, like current affairs.
I would go for it, Dave.
Okay. All right. Well, I just want to bring up there was a deal. Denver's mayor Mike Johnson is asking for another tax increase.
Oh.
And it's so frustrating to me how the media puts a spin on that. He doesn't say he wants to raise taxes. He wants to lift taxes. When I hear lift, I'm thinking, oh, he's going to lower taxes.
Yeah, you're going to get rid of them.
Right. He's going to lift the tax amount and lower it.
If I lift the burden off you, it goes away.
Right? Yeah. No, not the case. So he wants to raise sales tax in Denver by another 0.5%. And I guess I just, I want to prelude.
Because of their poor spending.
Yes. I want to prelude that because back in June, I need to just find it in here, he asked, this will be the second tax increase he's asked for. Both of these, well, if City Council passes this 0.5% increase, both of those measures will go to the ballot for the city of Denver to increase their taxes. They'll be one of the highest tax districts in Colorado. I mean, there's other cities that are higher, but they'll be one of the highest here on the Front Range. And I guess basically He's talking about adding 0.5%, but he does state there would be exceptions for many everyday essentials people buy, including food, fuel, medical supplies, personal hygiene products, meaning the new tax would not apply to those purchases. So I don't know what it's attached to. It must be everything else. So hopefully, I guess in medical supplies and food and gas, that's a big one that it's not going on, but it's still going on something else because he hopes that's going to increase the budget by $100 million. He's going to raise $100 million.
You're just going to give it to Polis?
Well, no, the kicker is because Denver has an $80 million shortfall, Jam, because of the homeless crisis and the migrants. So he's already went in and cut budgets in infrastructure, in road repairs, in the police department, in the fire department, in your driver's license bureau. He's already went in and done all this because they don't need more money, you guys. They have a spending problem.
Right.
These government agencies have a frickin' spending problem, and it's ridiculous. And I just ask for people to talk about this and go, no, we can't pass this. This can't be a good thing. They need to learn how to spend our money. Because at a certain point, if you don't just stop voting in more tax, pretty soon it's going to be 50%.
Hasn't he only been mayor for like a year?
Barely a year.
And
I don't
it's
even
the
know if it's
second
been-
time he's raised taxes?
Well,
Or
he's got it. City council approved of the last one to go to the ballot. If city council approves this one, and I think tonight or sometime soon, the city council will vote on that. If they vote on it and approve it, there will be 2 tax increases on the ballot, and that's on the ballot for the people that live in Denver. So if we have any employees here that live in Denver, I strongly urge you to vote no for a tax increase. They're not lifting your taxes, they're raising them.
And you taught me, sorry to just interrupt.
No,
but
go ahead.
You taught me this. You never have to vote to lower taxes.
Right.
No matter how they phrase it, if they say they want to lower taxes, but you got to vote on it, it's
Yes.
because it's raising them.
Your mayor can walk in today and go, we have so much a surplus of extra money, we're going to lower our taxes for everyone that lives here.
Yep. No vote is necessary.
Boom.
Yes.
It's
Done. Done. Yeah, it's crazy. So just to close on this, because I have a whole nother piece here, the new fund would give housing opportunities to people across the income spectrum, including extremely low income, and middle income earners. This includes like preserving existing income restricted condos and rental units and the construction of new multifamily rental units, among other things. But according to the mayor's office, with local and federal funding, the city is on track to create 19,000 affordable units by 2033, which is 25,000 short of the 44,000 needed for households earning less than 100% of the area median income. So it just
Sounds like it's for immigration.
it's homeless and migrants.
Right.
That's the hiccup on it.
Yep.
Homeless and migrants. Oh, and here's the other part, that what they went for in June and the city council approved, that was a 0.34% increase. And that was all to help cover Denver Health, because Denver Health is bankrupt, the hospital. They're bankrupt for unpaid medical bills because of the homeless and the migrants.
I feel like he's doing this because I feel like somebody just denied him money. Maybe it was federal money. Somebody said, we're not giving you any more money. We're not helping with you being a sanctuary city anymore. Something to that effect. Am I wrong, Brother Dave? Do you know anything about that?
I didn't hear that. I'm just, this is fresh off Fox 31, KDVR News.
And why were we trying to send homeless to Utah?
Because we couldn't afford them anymore.
Right. So we've put ourselves in a hole where we can't afford
Yes.
the
Yes.
problem that we've created.
Poor
Hey,
decisions.
This
If
is
you're illegally in the country, come here as a safe haven.
Yeah, this is to me when I look at government, you got to look at your house. And I'm going to give you a funny example, right? But my wife loves to save pets. According to you, I have a lot of animals in my house, right? According to my wife, we only have a fraction of what we have, right? But we're at a point in my house where it's like, listen, we can't save any more dogs. We just can't. Like, we can't afford it. We don't have room for them. It's going to disturb the house. Like, we're maxed out. There's other ways we could help them, just not in this house. You know what I mean? It's the same thing when you look at your budget for your house, right? Listen, we got more going out than we got coming in. We need to make some cuts, or we need to go and earn more money. It's the same thing. Denver can't earn more. The only way Denver earns more is by charging more taxes.
Absolutely.
Right? So really what they need to do is cut some of the bullshit out.
Absolutely. Yep. We need to stop the handouts.
Yep.
That's the bottom line. We can't take care of people that don't belong here, and we can't take care of people that are capable of working or that have drug addictions or things like that. It needs to end. So.
I guess the problem is what do we do with them? Utah don't want them. Like what do we do? What do we like? How do we get out of we've created such a big problem? How do we get out from under it?
I wish I had those answers, Jim.
Yeah, I know what Super Dave would do. We can't say it on the podcast.
All right, then it's a bit of a read here, but I'm gonna close with Governor Polis's Roadmap 2.0 for his new clean energy for Colorado plan.
Do we have dirty energy in Colorado?
Well, according to him, we do, right? And we're all suffering for it because it's not economical, it's not sustainable, it's not equitable, it's not environmentally balanced or fact-based. So in February, Governor Jared Polis introduced his Roadmap 2.0 that aims to cut greenhouse gas emissions by half by 2030. So he's going to cut the current greenhouse gas emissions by 2030. You guys know what year it is, right?
2024.
Right. We got 5.5 years to cut 50% of our greenhouse gas emissions, according to what our governor wants.
Yeah, and I like to joke about this, Dave, because I don't want to interrupt you. So we can't solve immigration and the homeless problem, but we can cut our emissions by 50% in 5.5 years.
Right.
We have the knowledge and technology to do that, but we can't solve the homeless problem.
Right. And the whole time they continue to say, Governor Polis's office and Mayor Johnson's office continues to say they're lowering the cost of housing. They're doing that by raising our cost of living.
Yes. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, you say it, Jam, every time. I mean, I love your analogy because you physically do it in front of me. Like you're sitting here running a piece of equipment. You have two levers in front of you. When you pull one lever one way, the other one goes the opposite.
Push one gets pulled. Absolutely.
Right? You push one gets pulled. Absolutely. So the governor said Colorado has been a national model in bold climate action that improves air quality and protects our precious resources and open spaces. This updated comprehensive roadmap continues pushing our state forward in ways that will save Coloradoans money. Lie. It has done nothing but increase our cost of living.
Yeah, because there's 11 out of the 50 states that have sued the EPA.
26.
Is it 26
26 states
26
have
on
now
board.
joined to sue the EPA.
So we're a leader in something that 26 states don't even believe in. Can't be done.
Absolutely. Yeah. So he says Coloradans save money. That's a lie. To protect our air, which I do believe he's trying to do that. He's trying to make.
We all want to
air,
protect our air,
right? But then he puts and water. I don't know about you guys, but I haven't heard of bad water in the United States in years. Flint, Michigan had an issue because some line broke a decade ago, right? Yeah. We have great water. I don't even buy bottled water. I drink tap water.
The thing is, we have clean water, but we have a failing infrastructure and leaks all over the place and wasting water.
Right.
You want to be
right. Yes.
Want to conserve water, that's where we need to concentrate.
Yes. So he wants to ensure a more sustainable future for Colorado. Governor Polis has doubled down on this policy that drives many local climate action plans that subsequently drive bureaucracies and mandates that make housing, transportation, and the general cost of living more expensive. Fact. Right? If everyone around here doesn't understand how expensive our trucks are now because of the emission controls on them, it's ridiculous. And where the next steps where they want to make them continue to be cleaner. So while some think this is a noble effort, an increasing number of people see this as a very misguided effort to save the planet, and that is in quotes, from what many people have been led to believe is anthropogenic and human-caused climate change. That is not to deny climate change is happening, but is it to say that our government leaders and mainstream traditional media ignore the facts, the key facts, that must be considered about our approach to addressing climate change? First, There are countless factors that cause climate change, and CO2 is but one. I love this portion of it. Earth's cloud composition, ocean currents, volcanic activity, magnetic field, and the sun's radiation all have a greater effect on climate than CO2. As a matter of fact, CO2 is but a trace chemical in the Earth's atmosphere. Climate change adherents like to express increases in CO2 in the atmosphere of terms of tons instead of percentages. This results in a distortion of the impact CO2 has on our atmosphere. For example, the Earth's atmosphere is estimated to weigh 5 quadrillion tons. That's a 5 followed by 15 zeros. Scientists estimate humans release about 30 billion tons of CO2 per year in the atmosphere. That amounts to 0.0003% of change. Hardly an amount worthy of a great concern compared to larger overlooked factors. Additionally, CO2 is not the demon chemical that climate change adherents claim it is. Remember, CO2 is plant food. The world has become greener over the past 2 centuries, coinciding with the Industrial Revolution. A warmer climate and more plants create more food abundance and less famine. Second, these distortions and misinformation are propagated by the United Nations International Panel on Climate Change. Earth's climate is one of the most complex and mysterious systems in nature due to the countless factors that are involved. A single change in one factor will have an infinite number of possible outcomes that are unpredictable. The mathematics involved in climate change is nonlinear and chaotic. Yet the models IPCC scientists use for predicting climate change use linear calculations, which cannot represent true climate. And given the complexity of the Earth's climate, the notion that humans can affect climate change by ceasing the burning of hydrocarbons is absurd. Third, the renewable solutions intended to mitigate climate change are a threat to our economy, environment, and human rights. Wind and solar energy are much less efficient than fossil fuels. Because the wind doesn't blow and the sun doesn't shine constantly, they rely on batteries to store their energy. Unfortunately, technology does not yet exist that can store industrial-level amounts of energy to power an entire city from batteries. When wind and solar energy falters, hydrocarbon energy from coal, gas, or nuclear power plants is required to pick up the demand. Therefore, we will continue to depend on fossil fuels or nuclear power indefinitely. Another factor to consider about wind and solar is the environmental impact. Industrial-scale wind and solar facilities are a huge footprint on the landscape and encroach on many natural habitats and migratory paths. Each year, thousands of birds are killed by rotating wind turbines and extreme heat from solar farms. Many are large birds of prey which are slower to reproduce and more at risk for endangerment. By comparison, an oil derrick has a much smaller footprint, having less impact on natural habitats while also producing more energy on a constant basis than wind or solar. Wind or solar technology and the batteries required to store their energy require rare earth minerals like cobalt, lithium, dysprosium that must be mined from countries with sensitive habitats and endangered animals. Many of these countries have poor human rights records and use child labor with poor working conditions. Currently, the Chinese Communist Party owns much of the world's rare earth mining operations. So what's most concerning about the demand for this mining will multiply dozens of times, giving government pressure to switch to renewable energy. Fourth, China is not held accountable for adhering to climate policies in Paris Climate Accords. Between 2015 and 2021, China's CO2 emissions increased by 11%, according to the Climate Action Tracker. Over that same period, the U.S. decreased CO2 emissions by 6%, largely due to the switch from coal to natural gas.
Wow.
I love that.
Wow.
Right? We're still burning a fossil fuel, but it's so much cleaner. As a matter of fact, China has no intention of addressing climate change. The country is reported to have over 300 new coal-fired plants planned, under construction, or about to come online over the next year. China's president, I don't know how to say Xi, is that Li?
I think it's Xi.
Xi China's President Xi recently said that their approach to achieving climate goals must be determined by ourselves and never under the sway of others. Considering 80% of global energy remains produced by hydrocarbon fuels and demand for energy expected to increase by 54% by 2050. That number blew me away, expected to increase by 54%. We must be honest with ourselves about the Earth's climate and how we produce our energy. It is critical that we explore solutions that are economically sustainable, equitable, environmentally balanced, and fact-based. Governor Polis's Roadmap 2.0 and current climate action policy is none of these. There you have it. I just had to share that article. Sorry for the long read. Those aren't my opinions. Those are facts. Sorry, Jim. Can you follow that up?
Another moment of silence.
The reflecting.
How hot is it?
Moment of silence for all the eagles that were killed by wind turbines.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's just sad to being pushed by our government. That's all it is. When they should be working for us.
It's their opinion.
Yeah.
It's what they want. It's their agenda. It's their policy. You know what I mean?
'cause
it's not called Governor Polis's plan that Colorado wants.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, because the thing is, everybody has to understand Polis is probably a billionaire. I know he's definitely a millionaire. He doesn't have to worry about the cost of living
At all.
the rest of his life.
Yeah.
Now, he always wasn't one, and maybe he struggled years ago. But
Doubt
the thing is, his future now, he doesn't have to struggle.
Right.
And he doesn't care.
Right.
The rest of us are still struggling and will struggle. Right. And that's the thing that his mindset has totally changed. He's not going to take care of us. He's going to pick an agenda and go, that's what I'll be known for. I saved Colorado, which he really didn't.
He was born on third base, but thinks he hit a triple.
Yep. So, yeah, just everybody, for my final thoughts, just have a great week and don't make excuses for yourself. Don't be the blame game. And I'll have to share the book I'm reading. It starts out with Adam and Eve, and Adam pulled off the best blame in the world right off the bat. He blamed God and he blamed Eve for eating the apple, and it started that centuries ago by blaming somebody else. And you need to be. I'm going to say you need to be the men you can be, but that you need to be the people or the person you can be. And you need to fight for that every day.
Amen. I like that.
Have the best day ever, you guys.
Yeah, best podcast ever, right?
That's
Super
right.
Day.
Today is the best day ever, and tomorrow will be the next best day ever.
Yep.
Well, tomorrow's not guaranteed, but don't forget to like and subscribe to the Challenge 23 podcast. Hit that follow button. Also, don't forget to go back and listen to episode 72 and help find Amber's mom. She's still top 10, by the way. Amber's podcast 72
Top
is
10,
well.
awesome.
That is awesome.
Links to her story will be in today's show notes. Say the creed and get on out.
Let's do it.
Perfect.
Together
we face and overcome all that stands before us. Together we are accident-free. Together we joyfully create honest value for those we serve. Together we celebrate our differences and respect those with whom we work. Together we are accountable for our words and our actions. Together we are the JFW family. All right, everybody.
Everybody be safe.
Have a good day. Have a good week.
Stay cool out there and hydrate.
I see those big, bright, shiny red trucks just a-trucking down the road. Those big, bright, shiny red trucks just a-looking for another load. Well, it's a family tradition, any Rocky Mountain day. Our fathers before us showed us the way. We work for asphalt cowboys and concrete kings, but that's never been a problem, cause we got diesel in our veins. We've got diesel in our veins. I see those big, bright, shiny red trucks just a-trucking down the road. Those big, bright, shiny red trucks just looking for another load. here, there's a couple million tons to move. I see them everywhere. So you best get out their way and watch that sand and gravel disappear. There's another run to make. We gotta get it there on time. And we got what it takes to lay it all out on the line. We'll lay it all out on the line. I see those big, bright, shiny red trucks just a-trucking down the road. Those big, bright, shiny red trucks just looking for another load. Those big, bright, shiny red trucks got the best drivers in town. They got all the tools they need to keep that hammer down. When they hit them scales, they won't need to dodge them, won't need to duck them. They just keep that hammer down, and they keep that diesel trucking. Keep that hammer down, and keep that diesel trucking. I see those big, bright, shiny red trucks just a-trucking down the road. Those big, bright, shiny red trucks just a-looking for another load. They just keep them doors a-closed, keep them butts in their seats, 'cause those customers are calling, and those red trucks can't be beat. They've gotta put the hammer down and pick up another load. Get it off the ground, keep them eyes open and on the road. Keep them eyes open on the road. I see those big, bright, shiny red trucks just a-trucking down the road. Those big, bright, shiny red trucks just looking for another load. Breaker 23, anybody got a copy on that Channel 23 podcast? Welcome, and thanks for listening.